Hi students, are we live? Live. Hi everyone, can you see me, hear me? Yes, can you see me, hear me? Are we live? Good evening everyone, welcome to Unacademy NEET English. I'm your biology educator Ambika Sharma, and today we are going to start a new chapter, and you know the name of that chapter, breathing and exchange of gases, right? So it is one day, one chapter thing. So we are going to complete your syllabus in the month of March and obviously in the April. So we'll finish it quickly, we'll practice a lot of questions, and we will make sure that we will get 330 plus marks in the biology, right? So that is my motivation. You tell me what's your? You tell me what's yours. So first of all, tell me, can you see me, hear me, people? Can you see me, hear me, people? Yes, welcome new students. Quickly hit the like button, hit the like button, and make sure that you subscribe to our channel. So after so long we are meeting, after so long I'm taking YouTube class, so I'm quite excited about it. What about you people? What about you? So yes, today we are going to start the most important unit of your biology, that is human physiology. I got so many messages from the students to start the human physiology, and trust me, I will make it very easy for you, and we will revise questions also to make sure that you grasp everything properly. Okay, so are you people excited? I cannot see the excitement. Yeah, it's very less. It's very less. It's very less. Hello, welcome people, welcome. I cannot see your excitement, to be honest. No ma'am, we are so excited. So as bache, we said that session is basically for that 3 hours. So I'll try to finish it within 3 hours, and even the chapter is not so lengthy. But yeah, when we will start the chapters like neural control and coordination, locomotion and movement, the chapters are not so lengthy, but the point is you need time to grasp that topics. Okay, so there might be I'll take class for 3.5 hours or 4 hours, but not more than that. Okay, so let's start the chapter. So make sure you hit the like button and see if you have checked it, very good. If not, make sure that you check this video, top 100 concepts of biology. Make sure that you have completed that concepts as well, students. Okay, so without any delay, let's start the chapter, and that is your breathing and exchange of gases. Now digestion and absorption is deleted from our syllabus, so obviously this is the chapter that we need to focus, breathing and exchange of gases. So if I talk about this chapter, the topics that we need to cover is, yes, first of all let me tell you about the topics. So the very important one is mechanism of breathing. You are not allowed to miss this topic, mechanism of breathing, right? Oxygen hemoglobin dissociation curve, oxygen hemoglobin dissociation curve, your transport of CO2 and oxygen. So simply I'm writing transport of gases. Okay, emphysema. I'm specifying this particular disorder because you will get question from this part. Emphysema and capacities. So these are the most important topics. These are the most important topics of this particular chapter. I know you must be thinking, ma'am, you have covered the entire chapter, but yeah, this chapter is important. Okay, this chapter is important. Clear, bache? Clear? Yes, so tell us quickly in the chat section that are you a dropper or are you a grade 12 students, because we have something very amazing for all of you. So you guys can see a poll here in the chat section. Make sure that you answer there. Okay, make sure that you answer there, right? So can we start? Sure people? Okay, so breathing and exchange of gases, this is our chapter. So how are we going to start it, bache? See, we have to finish the chapter quickly as well. So simply, first of all, let's discuss about the word breathing. Okay, let's discuss about the word breathing. First of all, let's start the story with this particular word, that is breathing, right? To breathe, to inhale and to exhale. This is what we consider in the breathing. Sometimes even in NCERT it is written, and these two terms are, these two words are used interchangeably as well बच्चे, breathing or respiration, है ना? You guys have seen that these two words, they are used interchangeably, breathing and respiration, but actually that is not the point. So when you people talk about the breathing, it is the first step of respiration. Right now I am giving you the overview, so make sure you listen to me. All your concepts will be clear by the end, students, right? If you attend this lecture with proper, if you attend this lecture properly, okay, with utmost attention, trust me, all your concepts will be clear, and after this particular class, right, you can solve all your PYQs of last year. Fine? Fine. Okay, so what is the point here? Breathing is the first step of respiration. So first step of respiration, what is the meaning of that? So it simply means the inhale and the exhale of gases, right? Inhalation and the exhalation of gases. Now bache, when the word is respiration, okay, when the word is respiration means the complete oxidation of the respiratory substrate. What will be there, Liharika, Kevin, what will be there in the respiration? It is the complete oxidation. It is the complete oxidation of your respiratory substrate, that is glucose. So, oxygen is going to oxidize it, which will result in the release of energy, right? Obviously, carbon dioxide will also be released as a metabolic waste. It will be released as a metabolic waste, and energy will be produced. So this is what respiration is. Are you getting my point? This is what respiration is. Clear? So when you talk about the breathing and exchange of gases, here mainly we are going to talk about the respiration. I'll tell you about cellular, direct, indirect respiration. We will cover everything here, external, internal respiration. You just listen to me carefully, okay? You just listen to me carefully, all your questions will be answered. Fine. So these are the steps that we have to follow when we talk about the respiration. Okay, this is your NCERT. This is what we need to follow, right? So what is going to happen here in respiration, students? The very first thing is breathing, as I said. Right, the very first thing is breathing, as I said. So breathing or pulmonary ventilation will be there, where atmospheric air is drawn in, that is inhalation, and CO2 rich alveolar air is released out, that is exhalation, right? Oxygen will come in, CO2 will go out, inhalation, exhalation, that is what breathing is. This is the first step of your respiration. Now move to the next step, diffusion will be there, right? So basically this is related to the human system. Okay, so we know that we have the lungs are our main or primary respiratory organ. So alveoli are present in the lungs. So diffusion of gases will be there. Just like you have inhaled oxygen, okay, this is the alveolar membrane. So oxygen will enter in the blood. It is as per your partial pressure, of course, and carbon dioxide will come to the alveoli, it will go out. So basically diffusion of gases across alveolar membrane will be there. Then the transport of these gases by the blood, then diffusion of this oxygen and CO2 between blood and tissue, and finally bache, utilization of oxygen right by the cells for catabolic reaction and resultant release of carbon dioxide. So basically here they are saying catabolic reaction, catabolism, cut, breakdown is there. So oxygen is going to break that glucose, energy will be released, and carbon dioxide will be released as the metabolic waste. So these are the steps of the respiration, and that is what we have to discuss in this particular chapter. Clear, Jayanti? Clear, Jayanti? So this is what we need to discuss in this particular chapter. These are the steps of the respiration. So how are we going to proceed here, ma'am? Directly from the human system? Of course not. Of course not. We are not going to start directly from the human system. We'll be starting with the basics. Okay. So I'll explain it, then we will consider NCERT. I'll explain it, then we will consider NCERT. So how many students are planning to get at least 340 marks in the biology? I'm talking about at least 340 marks in the biology. Quick. How many of you are planning? Yes? How many of you? I want to see that fire in the chat. That yes ma'am, I want to score. I want to score. Yes, that ma'am, I want to score. I want to see that fire in the chat section. 340 plus. This is what I'm saying, 340 plus. Hannah, so guys, for that 340 plus, now literally you need to listen to me, right? Avoid chit chatting, please concentrate and please revise everything. After my explanation, we are going to follow the NCERT. We have to finish this chapter in the 3 hours. Within 3 hours, we have to finish it, and I will cover all the important parts. I will cover all the important parts there, and then the NCERT reading will be there. And tomorrow, if you people want, I will keep a 30-minute session for the quick MCQ practice. But I want everyone to be, right, everyone who's people, if you are attending my lecture, I want you people to listen to me carefully and to be with me till the end and just answer the questions that I'm asking. Okay, so the very first thing is, you know that when you talk about the animal kingdom, what do you have? You have the different phylums. So we start the story from the Porifera. Okay, we start the story from the Porifera. So how many phylums are we going to discuss? We are going to discuss 11 phylums. So let's quickly revise that also. So we have Porifera, Cnidaria is there, Ctenophora is there, Platyhelminth. Yes, Platyhelminths. Everyone, write the name of the phylums in the chat section, quick. Aschelminths, right? Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata, Hemichordata, and finally we have chordates, isn't it? We have the chordata. These are the phylums that we have. So now when you look at these phylums, you know that different type of organisms are there. Different types of organisms, right? So basically we move from simplicity to the complexity. So bache, the respiratory organ that will help in the gaseous exchange, it depends upon that particular organism. It depends upon the habitat of that organism. It depends upon its level of complexity as well. Are you getting my point? It depends upon its level of complexity as well. Like if I start the story, if I talk about the Porifera, that is pore-bearing organisms. What kind of organisms they are? Pore-bearing organisms, and the aquatic organisms they are. So in their case, the gases will be simply exchanged by the diffusion, right? There will be the simple diffusion from the general body surface, like basically from the plasma membrane. Because what is a Porifera? Porifera is just a multicellular organism. It is just having the cellular level of organization. Okay, so from this plasma membrane, there will be the diffusion. So now let me tell you, students, what is this diffusion? What is the meaning of diffusion? Diffusion means the exchange of gases, but as per what? As per the concentration gradient, right? What is the diffusion? Basically the movement of molecules, movement of gases from their high concentration to the low concentration, isn't it? Yes or no? It is the movement of molecules, movement of gases from their higher concentration to the lower concentration. So without the use of energy, it will be. So can I say that it is the passive transport? Yes, people. Can I say that it is the passive transport? Things will move from their higher concentration to the lower concentration. So which word I'm using here? It is the passive movement. And what do we need here, bache Venki? We need the concentration gradient, right? These are the terms that we are going to use in this chapter. Concentration gradient. What will be there? Concentration gradient. Now, what do you understand by the word concentration gradient? Yes, bache, what do you understand by the word concentration gradient? Be quick. Tell me, what do you understand by the word concentration gradient? And be very quick, please. Yes, students, be very quick, please. Concentration gradient, the difference in concentration. Exactly, Yashwant bache, the difference in concentration. So if we want to exchange that gases, there should be a difference. Clear, bache? What should be there? There should be a difference in the concentration. Understood? understood, then only things will move from their higher concentration to the lower. So simple diffusion will be there. So now bache, from your phylum Porifera till Esculment, okay, from the phylum Porifera to the Esculment, right? So what will be the respiratory organ? What will be the respiratory organ? It is very simple. It will be there. It will be through the general body surface, okay, right? It will be through the general body surface. It will be through the general body surface. Is that clear? Tell me, is that clear? It will be through the general body surface. Now, when you are talking about the annelida, in the annelida again, it is actually the body covering. It is the moist cuticle. Okay, so can you quote any single example from the phylum Annelida? Can you quote any single example from the phylum Annelida? Can you quote any single example from the phylum Annelida? Very good, very good, very good. Earthworm, leech, nereus. Earthworm, leech, nereus. Okay, these three examples are given in NCERT. Understood? So, when you are talking about the annelida, it is the moist cuticle from where the exchange of gases will be there. Now, this is important. Please mark it, students, that it is the phylum Arthropoda where for the first time we are going to see the proper respiratory organ. Actually, it is the first phylum in which there will be a proper respiratory organ. For an example, if I talk about the insects here, you know the example of your cockroach. Cockroach is the part of your syllabus as well. So you know that here we talk about the tracheal system, isn't it? We talk about the tracheal system, isn't it? Tracheal system. The network of tubes is there. Like for an example, if this is a cockroach, to the lateral side, right? Lateral side of the body. Lateral side of the body is going to have some openings, right? It is going to have some openings. What do we call it? We call it as spiracle. We call it as, yes people, we call it as spiracle. We call it as, everyone, I want to see this word in the chat section, be quick. Right, what's the word? The word is spiracle. So spiracle is present on the lateral side, right bache? These are the pores. So from these spiracles the air will enter and it will exit. Wait, let's say this is our Mr. Cockroach, right? So lateral side of the body will be having some pores, right? So air will enter or leave from these pores only. So what do we call them? We call them as spiracles, and these spiracles are associated with the network of tubes. Okay, these spiracles are associated with the network of tubes, right? So this network of tubes, just say, let's say spiracle, then atria, then these tubes are there, the tracheoles, trachea and all. Okay bache, so air will pass from these trachea and it will be exchanged with the body organs with the help of diffusion only, right? So here spiracles are there, and in the cockroach, in the insect, basically we see the tracheal system. Which system we see? We are going to see the tracheal system. And these spiracles, students, right, this is extra question that I'm telling you. This is an extra question that I'm telling you. So total 10 pairs of spiracles are there, right? How many pairs of spiracles are there? Total 10 pairs of spiracles are there. Clear? Total 10 pairs of spiracles are there, and they are compared with the with our external nostril. Okay, they are compared with our external nostril. So that's what you need to remember. Clear bache? And now you are also having in the arthropoda, you know that diversity is there. Okay, different types of organisms are there. So if I talk about the spider, that belongs to class Arachnida, you will see book gills or book lungs. What are you going to see in the spider? This is a previous year question. I want you people to answer this. I want you people to answer this. What should be there, book lungs or book gills? What should be there, book lungs or book gills? Exactly, excellent. The book lungs will be there. Okay, the book lungs will be there. Then comes your mollusca, bache. Mollusca. So in the case of mollusca, what are molluscans? Shell bearing organism, the second largest phylum, right? So obviously the level of complexity is different here. So mollusca, in the mollusca you talk about the ctenidia. Okay, so ctenidium is singular, ctenidia is plural. So ctenidia are the very thin feather like gills, very thin feather like gills they are you getting my point? They are very thin feather like gills, right? They are very thin feather like gills. So from this ctenidia, the respiration, basically the exchange of gases is also there, even excretion is there. So note down this question, note down this question, quick, note down this question, right? From the ctenidia, the exchange of gases will be there, plus the excretion will also be there. Okay, so it also helps in excretion. That is a previous year question. Clear, bache? That is a previous year question. Clear, clear, clear? Yes. Now next to it is echinodermata. Okay, so when it comes to the echinodermata, here also you talk about the body surface, right? Echinoderms, your starfish, you talk about the body surface, and along with that, bache, that body surface is having some dermal branchiae. So that is what we are going to discuss here. So here you will not see a proper respiratory system. Here that water vascular system is there, and from the general body surface, the dermal branchiae are present, from by which the gases will be exchanged. The gases will be exchanged. Now next to that is hemichordata. Pharyngeal gill slits are present. Pharyngeal gill slits are present. Again, it is a previous year question. Okay, Yashwant, it's a previous year question, right? So now in the chordata, you see we talk about the urochordates, cephalochordates, we even talk about the vertebrates, right? So individually, let's say if you are talking about the fishes, okay, here mainly you talk about the fish, amphibians, reptiles, aves and the mammals, aves and the mammals. So students, see, fish, gills will be there. Okay, amphibians, you will also talk about the gills, the skin, lungs, the buccopharyngeal cavity, reptiles, apes and mammals, all three are going to have lungs. So that is what you need to know. Okay, so basically the habitat and the level of complexity is going to decide that which respiratory organ will be there, and that is something very important. Okay, you have to remember it. Understood? You have to remember it, right? So here, bache, I will relate a bit the animal kingdom also. Jैसे reptiles are the first successful terrestrial animals. They are having the lungs. Okay, they are having the lungs. Clear? Clear, clear, clear. So this part clear, this part clear. Is it on your fingertips or not? You still need to remember this. Tell me, is it on your fingertips or you still need to remember it? Tell me quickly. Hanji, tell me quickly. Yes? Sure? Sure, it should be on your fingertips. Okay? It should be on your fingertips. So, see. Now, there are some words also. There are some words also. Just see, if you are talking about the gills, if gills are used for the respiration, the word is branchial respiration. Means if gills are the respiratory organ, the word is going to be branchial respiration. If it is the lungs, then the word is pulmonary respiration. Okay, if it is the skin, then the word is cutaneous respiration, right? And if it is the tracheal tubes, then the word is, if it is just the tracheal tubes, then the word is tracheal respiration. So these are the words that you need to remember. And if it is the buccopharyngeal cavity, buccopharyngeal respiration it will be. Okay, so gills, branchial, lungs, pulmonary, skin, cutaneous. These are the important terms that you should know. So see, skin, spiracles are there, tracheal system, gills, again branchial, lungs, pulmonary. Understood? Lungs, pulmonary. This is something very basic. This is something very important as well. Clear, bache? This is something very basic and this is something very important as well. So all of you know now, it is the NCERT which is very important for your, it is the NCERT which is very important for your for your biology, है ना? It is the NCERT which is very important for our biology, right? So in the NCERT itself, they have given this basic introduction, and this is something that you need to remember. So before starting the human respiratory system, let's talk about the other things, right? Let's talk about the types of respiration, okay? So students, I'll ask you a very basic question. Do you know what is the direct respiration and the indirect respiration? Yes. Do you know what is the direct respiration and indirect respiration? I'm going to tell you some important words. What is the direct respiration and what is the indirect respiration? Can you just tell me? Can you just tell me direct and the indirect one? Direct and the indirect one. The proper definition, quick. The proper definition I'm asking. Sharon, excellent. Excellent, Sharon. But when it is the direct respiration, when it is what? When it is the direct respiration. So in the direct respiration now, right, exchange of gases is through general body surface. No special respiratory structures are involved. Okay, no special respiratory structures are involved. This is what direct respiration is, right? Through the general body surface, and no special respiratory structures or the organs are involved. Clear, bache? Clear, bache? So can I say that there is no involvement of blood? If I'm saying the special respiratory organs, so can I not say that blood is not involved here? Blood is not involved here. Can I not say that? Of course I can say that. Now if it is indirect respiration, obviously respiratory organs, right? Respiratory organs or blood is involved. Are you getting my point? Right? It is involved, right? So basically your poriferans, okay, your cnidarians, your ctenophora, even your insects, they come under the direct respiration. Rest everything is easy, but you can make mistake in the insect part. Insects, they also show the direct respiration. Can you tell me how? Yes, can you tell me how? Respiration in insect is also the direct respiration. Yes, respiration in insect is also the direct respiration. Can you just tell me how? How? Because in the case of insects, right, why am I specifying it? Because cockroach is the part of your syllabus. Okay, cockroach is the part of your syllabus. So when you talk about the insects, students, you should be very clear that we are talking about Mr. Cockroach. We are talking about Mr. Cockroach here. Okay, so it is having that network of tubes, isn't it? It is having that network of tubes. So basically air is entering through the spiracle, right? And then there are the tubes, right? The air will go from the tubes, right, bache? And let's say here you are having the body organ, so here the exchange will be there by a diffusion. So blood is also not involved, right? Through these tubes only the gas will pass, right? The gas will pass. So that's why it also comes under the direct respiration. Clear, bache? It also comes under the direct respiration. Clear, bache? So now before starting the human system, let's talk about the external, internal and the cellular respiration. These terms are basic, but you should know their meanings. Okay, external respiration, internal respiration, right? I told you now that here even in these one shots also we'll teach you the basics. Okay, we'll teach you the basics. If you understand them, then there will be no problem at all, right? Then comes the cellular respiration. So external, internal, cellular, external, internal, cellular, external, internal, cellular. Everyone just repeat it in the chart section. External, internal and cellular. These are three things that we have. Okay, so tell me what is an external respiration? Quickly, tell me what is an external respiration? Quick, what is the external respiration. Anyone in the class? We are about to start the human respiratory system. That's why I'm asking you. We are about to start the human respiratory system. So before that, this is something important that I'm teaching you. So quickly tell me, what should be there? What should be there? Through external organs like skin. Respiration starts to the external pair nostrils. No, 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 no. External, internal, cellular. I was not expecting it. That's basic. Yep, that is something basic. Chalo. But when it is the external respiration, now see, in the humans, air will enter in lungs. Ultimately, it is the alveoli which is the primary site of exchange of gases. Which is the primary site of exchange of gases. That is what alveoli is. Okay. That is what alveoli is. It is the primary site for the exchange of gases. So oxygen will enter here. It will pass to the blood vessel nearby, या blood capillary nearby, right? So the exchange of gases here, that exchange of gases, this is what? This is your external respiration. This is your external respiration. External respiration is having a proper definition. I'm expecting you people to answer that to me. Now, your blood is carrying the oxygen. Now this blood is going to exchange that gases here with the tissue. So when this exchange is there, it is the internal respiration. What's that, students? It is the internal respiration, right? And now when your cell, it is using that oxygen to oxidize glucose. Okay, it is using that oxygen when at the level of cell, oxygen is being used to oxidize the glucose and the energy is released. This is known as cellular respiration. This is known as cellular respiration. So exactly, Sharon bache, when the exchange is with the external environment, this is external respiration, right? So blood is there in our body, you know that blood vessels are there, so we are inhaling, so it will be in the lungs, right? It will be in the lungs. That lungs are having that alveoli from where the exchange will be there. Okay, so this part, this is the external respiration. So blood and tissue exchange is internal respiration, and when it is the cellular respiration, then what do you have? Cell is using that oxygen to release the energy. These three terms clear? These three terms clear? Yes. These three terms clear? Yes or no? Tell me quickly. Tell me quickly. So now let's talk about the human respiratory system, and you know that humans are having lungs as the primary respiratory organ, right? Humans are having lungs as the primary respiratory organ. So can we start our system? Can we start doing yoga? Yes. Can we start our system? Can we start doing yoga? Then, so whenever you feel anxiety or you have that anger or something, try this. It's very difficult to do it when you are angry, but you can try it. Okay, inhale, then exhale, inhale, exhale. So this is what we are going to do in today's lecture, right? We are going to basically do that yoga. Okay, so we are going to talk about the human system. So when we talk about the human respiratory system, obviously we start from the external nares, also known as external nostrils, right? How are we going to start? We are going to start with the external nares or of this nostril. Am I right? Am I right? I cannot see your chart, students. Tell me, external nostrils or external nares. So we have two nostrils, right? So dirhinus condition is there. Okay, we don't have one, we have two. So dirhinus condition is there. So this is not given in NCERT. This is a general word that you should know. So we have dirhinus condition, means we are having two nostrils. We are having a pair. Then bache, your air will pass to the nasal chamber. Your air will pass to the nasal chamber. So imagine this is our nose. So here we are having the, what do we have here? the external nostrils. Okay, so air will enter here and you can see this nasal chamber. Can you see that nasal chamber, students? Can you see that nasal chamber? Yes or no? Can you see that nasal chamber? Yes or no? So this nasal chamber, right? This nasal chamber, basically this is the nasal chamber, this is the nasal passage. So you know that in between here we are having a septum, right? We are having this nasal septum. So actually it is cartilaginous, it is having hyaline cartilage. So it is an important question because it is a previous year question. Okay, so MCQ can come from this part. So this nasal septum is what? It is made up of hyaline cartilage. Clear, bache? It is made up of hyaline cartilage. Is that clear? Is that clear? Right? Sure. So what is that? That is basically the hyaline cartilage. Now bache, air will enter here. So external nares, then nasal chamber. It is having nasal passage. So obviously we know that here it is having the here also, that small here are also present here. Even the sebaceous gland is also present. है ना? Sebaceous gland is also present. So sebaceous gland means oil releasing, oil secreting. So here are also present. So when air enters here, so obviously if there is any dust particle or something, that will be trapped here. Okay, that will be trapped here. Are you getting it? What is going to happen when you will inhale? Here are present here, and even the oil, sebaceous gland, oil glands are present here. So their secretions will trap what? Their secretions will trap that dust particles. Are you getting it? So here you also see the olfactory epithelium is also present in our nasal passage, and even pseudo-stratified ciliated columnar cells are also present. So this is what you need to know. Is that clear? This is what you need to know. So then next to it is your internal nares or internal nostrils. Again, they are also the openings, right? They are also the openings. So students, understand one thing. I'm not talking about the bones here. I'm not talking about anything extra. Always remember here when you talk about, right, when you talk about the nasal passage, so this nasal passage is also spirally coiled. So when air enters here, okay, so because it is a spirally coiled also, so nasal passage is long. So when air enters here, what is going to happen? The air will humidify. It will humidify and its temperature will come to the body temperature, right? These 2 points are clear. The air will humidify and its temperature will come to the body temperature. Are you getting it? So external nasal chamber, then comes the internal nares, and next to it is going to be your pharynx. It is going to be pharynx. So after pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi. We will discuss it, we will make the respiratory tree, don't worry. Bronchioles, and then finally the alveoli, from where the exchange of gases will be there. So this is the complete pathway of that air. Okay, so we have to discuss it. Firstly, let's talk about the pharynx. So can I say that air will pass to the pharynx through the pair of internal nares? Can I say that air will pass to the pharynx through the pair of internal nares? Yes, tell me, can we say so? Yes, of course we can, right bache? So firstly, let's talk about the pharynx, and when you talk about the pharynx, you are having 3 parts, right? Nasopharynx, it is actually the trick, knoll. What's the trick here? Knoll. Okay, it is knoll. Nasopharynx, oropharynx, and then comes the laryngopharynx. Nasopharynx, oropharynx, and then comes the laryngopharynx. I'm repeating this again. It is knoll. Naso-oro-laryngo. 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 So let's discuss that also. Now see, this is my dorsal side, this is my ventral side, this is my lateral side. We all know it. Okay, this is the dorsal side, this is the ventral side, and this is the lateral side. Okay, so imagine your Chintu's body. So towards this ventral side, fine, towards this ventral side, what is happening? Firstly, let's start with the pharynx part, then I will connect here. So as I said, pharynx is having 3 parts. Nasopharynx, oropharynx and the laryngopharynx That's what we have. These are the three things that we have. So now it is the knoll. So your internal nares, it will open in nasopharynx. So air will pass to the nasopharynx. Then from nasopharynx, it will pass to the oropharynx. Now this oropharynx is also receiving the buccal cavity, right? It is also receiving the buccal cavity. Okay. Wow, what nice words, Jayanth bache, very good. You are making your parents proud. Excellent. Wow, we are teaching you, and see, he is showing us the anger also. We are teaching you free of cost, and he is showing us the anger also. Wow. So your parents must be proud that our son is using such a good language on this platform where no one can see him, where no one can see him, no one can say anything to him. If you have the guts, then say such things in front of, in front of people. So then they will tell you what to do, what not to do. Okay, chalo, now come here. So naso-oro-laryngo. So you know that the buccal cavity, mouth, right? It is that slit opening, right? Next to mouth is what? You know the buccal cavity, right? So buccal cavity is going to pass the food to your oropharynx. So oropharynx is the common part. It is receiving the food as well as the air, and then that will pass to the laryngopharynx, right? Then that will pass to the laryngopharynx. Now bache, let's say this is the part of your pharynx, laryngopharynx. So towards the ventral side, right? Towards the ventral side, like this, there will be one tube-like structure. Please understand that, right? And just there is one tube, and just dorsal to that tube, there is another tube. So what am I trying to show you here? It's very simple, and it is very important as well. It is very simple and it is very important as well. So air will enter here, right? That air will enter in this part. So what is this? Let's say this is your laryngopharynx. So here bache, towards the ventral side, this laryngopharynx will lead to this part, and here it is your what? It is your larynx, and then comes your yes bache, after the larynx what will be there? Next to it, what will be there? Larynx is there, and then anyone in the class? Larynx is there, and then yes, after larynx what will be there? Please tell me that in the chat section. Very good, Selena. Excellent. That is going to be your trachea. Okay, and just a dorsal to this trachea, here you are having another tube. That tube is nothing but it is the esophagus, that is your food pipe. So basically when the food and air enter here, especially the food should pass to the esophagus, air should pass to this larynx. So remember bache, the opening of esophagus is gullet, and the opening here, the opening of this larynx wala part is glottis. That opening is basically the glottis. That opening is what? It is the glottis. So I am showing it again to you, right? So that you can see it and you can visualize it clearly. Imagine that's the structure. It is towards the ventral side. Okay. So the opening of this larynx here is glottis. Fine. And here the opening of your esophagus is gullet. So bache, when we swallow the food, okay, when we swallow the food should not enter here in the windpipe, otherwise there will be the suffocation, we can even die. So when we swallow the food, right, this glottis, this opening here will be covered by a cartilaginous flap, and we call it as epiglottis. Okay, so if you ever get confused, epi means above glottis. So it is the covering, it is a cartilaginous flap. Okay, it is a cartilaginous flap that is going to cover the glottis, right bache, when we swallow the food. Understood? When we swallow the food. Understood? So that's what you need to remember. So next to this laryngopharynx, what are we going to discuss? We are going to discuss the next part, and that next part is the larynx, which is also known as the sound box. Okay, so this larynx is nothing but it is just the cartilaginous box. This larynx is nothing but it is what? It is a cartilaginous box. Means it is made up of cartilages. Clear? It is made up of cartilages. Wait. See this. Can you see that? Can you see that? So through this air will finally enter here. Okay, now see, look at this diagram. Can you see this bone here? Can you see this bone here, this moving bone here? That is also very important. That is also very important. It is your hyoid bone. Look at this diagram here, right? It is also given in NCERT, but that is not so clear. So you can please, you can even mark it, bache. This is the epiglottis, that cartilaginous flap, this U-shaped bone. Okay, it is the hyoid bone, and then these cartilages, these are the part of your larynx. Okay, this is basically your larynx, and next to it is the trachea. All these cartilages, they are making the larynx. So larynx is a cartilaginous box made up of cartilages. So this part clear, and this U-shaped bone is the hyoid bone, right? It is the tongue bone, right? It is the only bone of the, it is the bone of the skull which is not articulating with any other bone. It is the bone of the skull, bache, elamathi, which is not attached to any other bone. So with the help of ligaments it is fixed, right? So it helps in the attachment of the tongue as well. Okay, it helps in the attachment of the tongue as well. So that is what you need to remember. So cartilaginous, so what is this larynx? Larynx is the sound box, cartilaginous box made up of cartilages. So you know that in the case of males, right, at puberty, when they attain puberty, we call it as Adam's apple, right? It is the Adam's apple, right? Because it appears like a prominent outgrowth. Do you know that? It appears like a prominent outgrowth. So this is the sound box, cartilaginous box, or the voice box. It is the sound box, cartilaginous box, or the voice box. Is that clear? Is that clear? So it is having two folds. Okay, it is having two folds. Clear, bache? Clear, bache? So it is having two folds. The upper fold, which is basically the false vocal cords, right? And then it is having the lower fold, two folds of that skin, that is basically the true vocal cord. So it is the true vocal cord which will produce the sound. It is the true vocal cord that will produce the sound. This is important, please mark it, right? So that's important. Okay, that is important. So it is the lower fold, bache, right, which is made up of yellow elastic tissue. So it helps in the sound production. So it is nothing but it is also the elastic tissue, yellow elastic tissue, right? Yellow elastic tissue. So now student, it's a very common question, so I am expecting the answer as well. In the case of males, right, in the case of males, what will be there? The vocal cords are going to be large or they are going to be small? They are going to be thick, they are going to be thin. In the case of males, what it will be? Vocal cords, are they going to be thick or thin? Very good, Ridu. So in the case of males, the vocal cords are larger and thicker. So obviously in the case of females, it will be smaller and thinner. So that's why in the case of males, right, in the case of males, the sound is of low pitch. The sound is of low pitch. So females may, the pitch of the sound is high because they are having thinner vocal cords. They are having thinner vocal cords. So this part clear, this larynx clear, sound box clear. So now answer one question to me, what is a syrinx? Answer one question to me, what is a syrinx? Yes. What is a syrinx? Quick. What is syrinx? What do you understand by the word syrinx? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. What do you understand by the word syrinx? Bache, syrinx is the voice box in the case of birds. Jaise here we see na larynx, then trachea will bifurcate. It will form primary bronchi, that will further divide, that will form secondary bronchi, tertiary bronchi, like this. But here in the case of birds, birds are having the syrinx, right? What that birds are going to have? Syrinx. So that syrinx, firstly there will be trachea, then there is the presence of the syrinx. So syrinx is the voice box in the case of birds. Okay, it is the voice box in the case of birds. So it is also important. Okay, it is also important. Chalo. So now let's talk about the next part. So next to larynx is the trachea. Okay, next to larynx is the trachea, and that trachea is a tube like structure, and you know that it is approximately 12 centimeter long. Okay, it is approximately 12 centimeter long. What is it? It is approximately 12 centimeter long. So we call this trachea as windpipe also. It is also known as windpipe. What is it? It is also known as windpipe. So it extends up to the mid-thoracic cavity, right? It extends up to the mid-thoracic cavity, right? And at which level? You know, now we have the thoracic cavity, abdominal cavity, right? Right. So this is what we have. So basically it extends up to the mid-thoracic cavity at the level of fifth, at the level of fifth, yeah, third, at the level of what? At the level of fifth or third. What should be there? What should be there? At the level of fifth thoracic vertebrae. So it extends up to the mid-thoracic cavity, right? And then it will divide at the level of fifth thoracic vertebrae. At the level of fifth thoracic vertebrae. So let me tell you what's the story. See, you know that we are having the vertebral column, right? So vertebral column is having vertebrae. How many vertebrae are there? Total 26. After fusion, how many vertebrae are there? Total 26. So the formula is CTLSC. What is the formula? CTLSC. What is the formula? Hanif, ignited. Everyone, what is the formula? CTLSC. 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 Come to lunch, stay calm. Come to lunch, stay calm. So C for cervical, right? Cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacral, coccygis. Cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacral, coccygis, right? So thoracic. So this is having the formula. It is 7, 12, 5, 5 and 4. Right? These are your vertebrae basically. 7, 12, 5, 5 and 4. It's CTLSC. Cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacral, coccygis. Cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacral, coccygis. So it is CTLSC. 7, 12, 5, 5, 4. So 7 cervical vertebrae, 12 thoracic, 5 lumbar, 5 fused are sacral, that will form 1. 4 fused will form 1 coccygis. Okay, 4 fused will form 1 coccygis. So here in this thoracic vertebrae, right, just let's say these are your 7 cervical vertebrae, then thoracic. So basically at the level of 5th thoracic vertebrae. So see, 1, 2, see these are the cervical one and then this is the thoracic. So at the level of 5th thoracic vertebrae, this trachea will bifurcate into 2 primary bronchi. Is that clear? The trachea will bifurcate into 2 primary bronchi. Is that clear? Is that clear? So this is the primary bronchi. So see the tube-like structure here, like this. So trachea, then primary bronchi, that will further bifurcate, will form secondary. Okay, that will further bifurcate, will form tertiary. And then the terminal one, and then there will be the bronchioles. Are you getting it? So where will you see that bifurcations? Within the lungs. Where are you going to see it? Within the lungs. Are you getting it? Are you getting it? So trachea will bifurcate into 2 tubes at the level of 5th thoracic vertebrae. Understood? Understood? Right? So remember bache, even your trachea, even this trachea, even the primary bronchi, even the secondary bronchi and all, they are covered with the C-shaped cartilaginous rings. Do you know that? They are covered with the C-shaped cartilaginous rings. Do you know that? They are covered with what? C-shaped cartilaginous rings. Why C-shaped? Imagine. Just this is a tube-like structure. If I will cover it completely, right, this is the trachea. Obviously, it is delicate also. If we will cover it completely, then obviously this pathway will be restricted kind of, right? These cartilages are covering it. It will be fully covered because we have to move the air in and air out also. So when it is C-shaped, right, it is C-shaped, right, just to balance out that pressure. Okay, we are inhaling. If the pressure will be too high, the trachea can collapse as well. So just to avoid that, okay, just to avoid that, they are the C-shaped. They are going to protect that trachea. Clear, bache? They are going to protect that trachea. Clear, bache? Clear, bache? Are you sure? So what are they going to do? They are going to protect that trachea. Okay, 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 sure, sure. Understood? Understood. So C-shaped cartilaginous rings are going to cover it. So can you tell me which cartilage it is? They are the incomplete cartilaginous rings now. Can you name that cartilage? Can you name that cartilage? Yes, can you name that cartilage? That's your homework. I want to see the answer in the chat section. Clear, bache? Clear, bache? So remember this part. Okay, remember this part. So next is the respiratory tree that we have to see. Actually in the lungs are having this network of bronchi and bronchioles. So actually what's the story? Your trachea, it will form primary bronchi. Everyone please make it, please write down. It will form primary bronchi. Then secondary bronchi will be there. Then tertiary bronchi. Finally, the terminal bronchi. Then there will be the lobular bronchioles. Next to it is what? So after bronchi, what will be there, students? After bronchi, what will be there? Yes, bache. Akash, heaven, what should be there? After bronchi, there will be the bronchioles. There will be the bronchioles, right? There will be the bronchioles. So there will be lobular bronchiole. There will be terminal bronchiole. There will be respiratory bronchiole. There will be alveolar duct. Then alveolar. Okay, alveolar. So this is basically that complete respiratory tree. Okay, Samiksha, this is that complete respiratory tree. So from trachea to terminal bronchi, this is the conducting zone. What is it? It is the conducting zone. What is it? It is the conducting zone. So it will just conduct the gases to the respiratory part. Okay, it is just the conducting zone. Obviously, it will humidify air. It is going to humidify the air. It will bring the temperature. Bring the temperature of air to body temperature. Okay, so that will be the role of this conducting zone, right? So now this is the actual respiratory zone, right? This is basically the exchange zone. It is the part where actually the gaseous exchange will be there, and it is the alveoli, which is the primary site for exchange of gases. Okay, it is the primary site for exchange of gases. Understood? It is the primary site for exchange of gases. Clear, bache? So from respiratory bronchiole to alveoli, we are having the, yes bache, we are having the exchange zone. Understood? We are having the exchange zone, and up to this part, right, it is covered with pseudo stratified, this is again a PYQ, ciliated columnar glandular epithelium. Okay, it is covered with pseudo stratified ciliated columnar glandular epithelium. So it is PSG. SCCGE. Okay, pseudo stratified ciliated columnar glandular epithelium. So glandular means secretory, so it will trap the, right, if there will be any impurity, right, the sand particles or something like this, so it will trap it. Okay, it will trap it, so you should know about it. It is related to your structural organization in animals, so this is what you need to know. Okay, this is what you need to know. So next to it is going to be your alveoli. Okay, next to it is going to be your alveoli. Clear bache? Clear? Sure. So trachea, bronchi, even your initial bronchioles, they are covered with what? With the C-shaped cartilaginous rings, which are incomplete cartilaginous rings. Understood? Okay, done. So now come to the NCERT part. Just look at it. So pharynx, done, ma'am. A portion which is common passage for food and air. Okay, the pharynx will open through the larynx. The pharynx will open through the larynx region into the trachea. So larynx is nothing but a cartilaginous box, the sound box. So during swallowing of the food, the glottis can be covered by a thin elastic cartilaginous flap. So this epiglottis is also the thin elastic cartilaginous flap. So please mark that point. NCERT is important here, right, bache? So trachea is a straight tube extending up to the mid-thoracic cavity, then divides at the level of 5th thoracic vertebrae. So this is another important point, okay? The MCQ point it is. So please highlight. Then primary bronchi, which will further divide into secondary, tertiary and bronchioles, right? So bronchioles are very thin, right? Then bache, trachea, primary, secondary, tertiary bronchi and initial bronchioles, they all are supported by incomplete cartilaginous rings, and after that there will be a bag-like structure, that is going to be the alveoli, and that is what we need to discuss now. Okay bache, that is what we need to discuss now. Understood? So do you have any doubt? So just look at this particular diagram. It is from your NCERT, of course. So this is the epiglottis, right? I have shown you the better diagram also, epiglottis. So below that there is the larynx, right? Then there is the trachea. So it is divided at 5th thoracic vertebrae. Look at these lungs. Okay, so in the lungs, your secondary bronchi, tertiary, terminal and bronchioles, alveoli, they all are making the lungs. Clear bache? They all are making the lungs. Done bache? Done? Clear? Any doubt? So now what is it showing? See, our lungs are protected by this rib cage. So we are taking the section. Just imagine we are cutting your ribs like this. Then we are showing you this internal part of the lungs. So these sides, that's why these sides, they are what? They are basically the ribs. Cut end of ribs. Right, cut end of ribs there. So these are two lungs, a pair of lungs that we have. Right, this is the pair. This is the pair of lungs that we have. So bache, here you can see the right lung and the left lung. So when you look at the right lung, right, if you will see the right lung bache, right, look at this right lung. It is comparatively narrower and broader. It is comparatively shorter and broader. Okay, it is what? It is shorter and broader. Okay, but on the another hand, when you talk about the left lung, so it will be narrower and, right, it will be shorter and broader, it will be narrower and longer. Okay, the left lung. Now in the right lung, what will you see? Can you tell me? In the right lung, do you know anything else related to the right lung? It is shorter and broader, that one is narrower and longer. Yes bache. So your right lung is having 3 lobes actually. This is your right lung, like this, 1, 2, 3. It will be having 3 lobes. So it is having 3 lobes. So basically two fissures are going to divide it into 3 lobes. So this is important bache. This question can be asked in your paper. How many lobes are there in right lung? 3 lobes are there. And when you are talking about the left lung, there will be 2 lobes only. How many lobes will be there? Only 2 lobes. How many lobes will be there? Only 2 lobes. Now, in between these lungs, Can you see the space here in between these lungs? Can you see the space here where even your heart is present, even esophagus will move from this? Can you see the space here? So space between two lungs is known as mediastinum. It is known as mediastinum. What is it? The space between two lungs is known as mediastinum, where your heart is present. So now because your heart is present in the center, right, and it is bit pushed towards the left side. Heart is present in the center, it's bit to push towards the left side, right? So just like heart is like this and it is pushed towards the left side. So that's why this left lung is having this notch like structure, and we call it as cardiac notch. So which lung is going to have the cardiac notch? Which lung is going to have the cardiac notch? Left lung. That's what you have to remember, okay? Right, so lungs are that spongy pinkish kind of tissue, right? Spongy pinkish kind of tissue, right? So this is what you need to remember. Now they are present in the thoracic cavity. Yes ma'am, they are present in the thoracic cavity. So they are covered with the layers. Do you know that? They are also covered with the layers. Right, so that layers are what? The outer and the inner pleural membrane. It is the outer and the inner pleural membrane. Clear? Clear, clear, clear. What is it? It is the outer and the inner pleural membrane. So when you talk about the outer membrane, it is also known as parietal pleural membrane. When you talk about the inner one, it is also known as visceral pleural membrane. So in between these two, there is the pleural cavity, bache. There is the pleural cavity, and that pleural cavity is having what? That pleural cavity is having the pleural fluid, right? So it is going to lubricate that lungs. It will not let the friction to occur, okay? Okay, so outermost is the parietal, innermost is your visceral. Understood? Understood? So lungs are soft, spongy, elastic, pinkish at the time of birth. So they are covered with these two pleural membranes. Understood? These are covered with these two pleural membrane. Understood? Yes. So pleural fluid will reduce friction, make the movement of lungs easy. It will reduce the friction, will make the movement of lungs easy. Okay? Okay? Understood? Okay, right. So below it, you know that here we are having a muscular structure. This muscular structure should be clear to you because it will help in the mechanism of breathing. Okay, it is going to help in the mechanism of breathing. So this is the thoracic cavity, right? Where do we have the lungs? Lungs are there in the thoracic cavity. Lungs are there in the thoracic cavity. And here below this part, right, we are having the abdominal cavity. So both of them are divided by, right, by this muscle. This is your diaphragm. This is your diaphragm. So it plays a major role in the exchange of gases. This is the diaphragm which is dividing this thoracic cavity and the abdominal cavity. This thoracic cavity and the abdominal cavity. Clear bache? Clear bache? So this is the diaphragm, that muscular, right, that muscular tissue which is dividing these two. And diaphragm is a feature of the mammals. It's a unique feature of the mammals. Okay? Understood? Understood? So lungs clear? Lungs clear? Sure, sure, sure. Right, this diagram clear? So now when you talk about the lungs, lungs, they are protected by this is important, please. They are basically present in an airtight chamber. Let's talk about that airtight chamber first. Let's talk about that airtight chamber first. Lungs are present in an airtight chamber. Very simple it is. When you talk about the dorsal side, it is having the vertebral column. When you talk about the ventral side, it is having the sternum. And lateral sides are having the ribs. Am I right? Lateral sides are having the ribs. Am I right? Yes, bache. Lateral sides are having what? Lateral sides are having the ribs. And then lower side is having a diaphragm. it is having the diaphragm. So can you imagine that? So this is basically the rib cage, which is an airtight chamber, which is the one that is protecting our lungs also. So this is the rib cage, the thoracic cage. Okay, this is the rib cage or thoracic cage. So dorsally vertebral column, ventrally sternum, laterally ribs, and lower side is having diaphragm, which is also dome shaped. Okay, it will be flat at the time of inspiration, otherwise it is dome shaped. Understood? Clear? Now let's discuss something very simple and basic. See, your lungs, they are soft, elastic, pinkish organs, right, at the time of birth. Now after that, people smoke, we also inhale the pollutants in the surrounding, so then they will not stay that pinkish, otherwise it is the pinkish organ, right? So that lungs are present somewhere here in this thoracic cavity. Okay, that lungs are present here in this thoracic cavity. Okay, just imagine, huh? Just imagine. Now you know that they are covered with the pleural membrane, and here they are having this rib cage. Now you know how these lungs are present here. How these lungs are present here. This is something very important, right? This is something very important. These lungs are present here in this thoracic cavity, in this thoracic chamber, in such a way that if there is any change in this thoracic chamber, it is going to, if there is any change in the volume of this thoracic chamber, it will change the volume of these lungs also. Again, I'm repeating my point. It is given in NCERT many times. Students, they ask the question from that point. So what am I saying here? I am saying that lungs are present in this airtight chamber, in this anatomically airtight chamber. Yes, ma'am. So lungs are present here in such a way that if there is any change, in the volume of thoracic cavity, that is going to change the volume of lungs. These two things are related. It is very simple. If let's say the highest score for the NEET will be 720 and maximum students, let's say 15 students have scored 720 marks, is it going to affect the overall cutoff? Is it going to affect the overall cutoff? Of course yes. Of course yes. That is going to decide the merit list. That is going to decide the merit list. है ना? Imagine you are scoring 720 out of 720. Imagine Sophia, you are the one who's scoring 720 out of 720. Imagine. है ना? So basically what am I saying? I am saying that here the lungs are present in such a way that if there is any change in the volume of the thoracic chamber, that is going to change the volume of the lungs, because lungs cannot change their volume directly. This thing is important for understanding the mechanism of breathing. Okay, so let's move to the NCERT. Right, let's move to the NCERT. So what are NCERT saying? Right, it is telling us about the inner pleural membrane. It is in contact with lung surface. So the part starting with the external nostril up to the terminal bronchiole, this is the conducting part. We have already discussed. Alveoli and their ducts, they form the exchange part. Any doubt here? Any doubt here? Any doubt here? Ma'am, I have a doubt. There is a line at NCERT that it reflects the thoracic. Wait. So conducting part transports the atmospheric here to alveoli. So conducting part will clear the air from foreign particles, will humidify it, will bring the air to the body temperature. Already discussed. Okay, so exchange part is the part where actually the diffusion will occur, the gases will exchange. Now come to the next part. So where that lungs are situated? They are situated in the thoracic chamber. Where are they situated? They are situated in the thoracic chamber, and it is anatomically, okay, it is anatomically an airtight chamber. Right, anatomically an airtight chamber. So thoracic chamber is formed dorsally by the vertebral column, ventrally by sternum, laterally by ribs, and lower side is having dome-shaped diaphragm. Right, so I told you we will cover the NCERT in these sessions, and you can see here we are covering each and every line of NCERT. Okay, in my explanation itself we are covering the NCERT only. This part clear? So Now please listen to me carefully. So this, the anatomical setup, right? Please highlight it as well, students. Kindly highlight it. So this anatomical setup of the lungs in thorax is such that, please highlight this portion. This anatomical setup of the lungs in the thorax is such that if there is any change in the volume of thoracic cavity, it will be reflected in the lung cavity. Any change in the thoracic cavity's volume, it is going to change the volume of the lungs, volume of that lung cavity. This is all. Right, this is what we have discussed. So this part is important. This part is literally very important. Okay, so what are we discussing here? We are saying that anatomically this setup is in such a way, right, that any change in the volume of thoracic cavity will be reflected in the lung cavity. So such an arrangement is essential for breathing, as we cannot directly alter or change the pulmonary volume. If you have any doubt, do let me know. If you have any doubt, do let me know, because after it we'll be starting the mechanism of breathing, and just before the diffusion I will tell you the structure of alveoli. So if there is doubt, please feel free to ask. Yes, students, feel free to ask. Sure, you don't have? Yes? That, Sophie, we have to discuss now. See, students, now the next important topic that we are going to discuss is, now simply, right, we will be covering the important topics. Mechanism of breathing. Mechanism of breathing. That is what we have. Mechanism of breathing. That is what we have. See, for the breathing, for understanding that, we should know about the diaphragm and we should know about the intercostal muscles. What we need to know? Diaphragm and intercostal muscles. That is something that we should know. The diaphragm and the intercostal muscles. Now let's discuss that. What exactly is the diaphragm? Right? We just discussed that this is the thoracic cavity, this is the abdominal cavity. In between these two, you are having this muscle, right? This diaphragm muscle. So this diaphragm is having, it is basically made up of that radial muscles. This is the diaphragm. Now students, this diaphragm, it is very important. It's a major muscle for this breathing, for this exchange of, for this pulmonary ventilation. Okay, and it is not just the only function of diaphragm. This diaphragm also helps in, right, micturition. Do you know what is micturition? The passage of urine. It is also helping there. You tell me, how is it going to help there? That is your homework. It is somewhere having a role in the childbirth also. So you have to tell me how is it going to do that. Okay? How is it going to do that? So this is the first category of the muscle that we have to discuss here, the diaphragm muscle, right? That it is muscular part. It is the first category that we have to discuss. So this diaphragm, normally it is dome shaped, right? When you are not inspiring, when you are not inhaling, it is going to be dome shaped like this. Like this. So now we are going to do some dance. Take it, tuck, 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 tuck. This is what we have to do, right? What we have to do, we need to perform some dance. Okay? So diaphragm muscle, right? The another category is intercostal muscles. What is it? Your lungs are present in an airtight chamber, and we know that we have the ribs. We have the ribs. Yes or no? We have the ribs. So tell me, our ribs are bicephalic or not? Our ribs are bicephalic or not? Tell me. Our ribs are bicephalic or not? Tell me quickly. Yes, they are. Okay. So these are the ribs. These are the ribs. Basically, we have the 12 pairs of ribs. So in between these ribs, we have the muscles. In between these ribs, we have the muscles, and we call that muscles as intercostal muscles. In between the ribs, we have the muscles. We call that muscles as intercostal muscles. Intercostal muscles. Intercostal muscles they are. That's what you have to remember. Now, when you talk about these intercostal muscles, they are of two types. One is your external intercostal muscle. Let's use the short forms. Another is your internal intercostal muscles. External intercostal muscle, internal. Obviously, it is very simple. External, internal. These are the ribs. In between these ribs, you are having the muscles. Right? In between these two ribs, you are having the muscles. So the one which is present towards the external side, it is external. So the one, just let's say, okay. Right, let's say these are the muscles that we have in between. So this black one, okay, this black one is the external intercostal muscle. Okay, that black one is the external intercostal muscle, and the one which is present internally, like if I will change my side like this, now this mobile phone is showing my internal intercostal muscle. It's like that. Okay, it's like that. So one is external, one is internal. External, internal, that's all. Right, but they both are present in between the ribs. So let me show you. So you can see this. You can see this. This is the rib cage. Here we have the sternum. Okay, so these are the ribs. So the muscles present in between, we are calling it as intercostal muscle. Now when you look at this particular part, this particular diagram, the one which is present like this, this is the external intercostal muscle, and here this one, it is the internal intercostal muscle. Understood? External, internal, clear? The one towards external side, the one towards internal side. Can you see that? Can you see that? Yes, can you see that? So the muscle part clear, muscle part clear. So now see again, have a look. So external intercostal muscle present like this, internal intercostal muscle present like this. So externally it is covering it, right? This one is covering it internally, right? So this is what we have, and here in between you are having the diaphragm muscle, right? So they are basically going to help in the inspiration and expiration. So before starting that, देखो breathing में there are two steps obviously. When you are talking about the breathing, how many steps do you have? Two steps, right? One is your inhalation, to inhale, okay, that is inspiration, right? That is inspiration. Another step is your exhalation, that is your expiration, that is your expiration. Inhalation is there, expiration is there. Inhalation is there to inhale, to take the oxygen in, exhale to withdraw the CO2 out, to withdraw the CO2 out. These are the two steps that we have. Okay, so let's start with the inhalation part. Okay, let's start with what? Let's start with the inhalation part. So inhalation, that is your inspiration. Yes, bache. First is your inhalation, that is your inspiration. So first of all, you need to remember that it is an active process. What type of process it is? It is an active process. Write down. It is an active process. Write down. Right? It is an active process, means energy will be used here, and this process is of 2 seconds, right? Then comes your exhalation, also known as expiration. So it is passive, and it is of 3 seconds. Is it 3 seconds or 0.2 and 0.3 seconds? Anyone? Yes, is it 3 seconds or is it 0.2 and 0.3 seconds? Anyone in the class who can give me the correct answer? Is it 3 seconds? Yes, or 0.3 seconds? Yes, obviously it is 2 seconds and 3 seconds. Okay, 2 seconds and 3 seconds. So per breath, inhalation is for 2 seconds, exhalation is for 3 seconds. So this is a passive process, this is an active process. So during inhalation, what is going to happen? So first of all, we all need to understand the Boyle's law. What we need to understand? We need to understand the Boyle's law. So as per that law, if volume increases, pressure decreases, yeah, pressure and volume are inversely proportional to each other in simple words, right? In simple words, volume and pressure are inversely proportional to each other. What are they? They are inversely proportional to each other. Everyone in the class, they are inversely proportional to each other. Are you getting it? Are you getting it? Volume and pressure are inversely proportional to each other. So it means if volume is increasing, pressure will decrease. If pressure is increasing, volume will decrease. है ना? Because they are inversely proportional to each other. So this is something that we are going to use here. Now, when it is the inhalation, okay? Imagine we need to bring the air in. We need to bring the air in. We know that for the breathing, ultimately it is the diffusion that is required. What is diffusion? The movement of gases. It is basically the movement of gases from there. It is basically the movement of gases from their higher concentration to the lower concentration. Right, from the higher concentration to the lower concentration. So basically we want to inhale, right? So let's say this is your thoracic cavity. You know that if there is any change in the volume of thoracic cavity, it will reflect in the change in the volume of the lungs as well. So here, if I want to take the air in, what should be the condition? Pressure should be low and the volume should be high, isn't it? There you go. You want to take the air in. So what is the way? It's very simple. Outside, right? Outside the pressure should be more. Within the lungs, the pressure should be less. Then only air will come in. Then only air will come in. So if I want the pressure to be low inside, right, I should increase the volume. I should increase the volume. Is it easy for you or not? Can you understand it or not? Can you understand it or not? So if I want to bring the air in, then I have to increase the volume and I have to decrease the pressure. I have to increase the volume and I have to decrease the pressure. That should be the condition, right? That should be the condition. So how can I do it? How can we achieve it? It's very simple. I'm again writing it. Volume should be high, pressure should be low, right? So muscles are going to play the role here. So low pressure means, can I say that intra means within, intrapulmonary pressure, can I say that intrapulmonary pressure is low, okay? Or I can say that it's negative. It's negative. Intrapulmonary pressure is low, it is negative. Now I have to increase the volume. There are two ways. First of all, the diaphragm muscles, right? First of all, your diaphragm muscles, they will contract, okay? They will contract. Now see, imagine your diaphragm is dome shaped. During inspiration, when you are inhaling, your diaphragm muscles will contract. So when they will contract, the peripheral muscles of diaphragm, when they will contract, your diaphragm will become flat. Your dome shaped diaphragm will become flat. So when your diaphragm muscles, when they are contracting, what is going to happen? That will result in the change in that shape of diaphragm. So because of that, diaphragm will become flat. Diaphragm will become flat. Yes or no? The diaphragm will become flat. So initially it was like this, right? Now your diaphragm will become flat. So don't you think that it will increase the volume towards, yes, anterior posterior axis? Don't you think it will increase the volume towards anterior posterior axis? Because diaphragm, right, when it was expiration, when normal condition was there, it was dome shaped. When right? It was flat when inspiration was there. Why? Because your diaphragm muscles, they will contract, isn't it? This is going to happen. Now next condition is your external. Bache, the word is external. Now your external intercostal muscles, they will contract. They will contract. So because of that, your rib cage, right, it will be upward. It will be towards outside and upward. It will be towards outside and upward. It will be towards outside and upward. It's very simple. Your diaphragm is like this, dome shaped, right? You are going to stretch the muscles. It will become flat. Okay, this is the one dance step. Okay, this is the one dance steps. So now your external, the word is external intercostal muscles. Make sure you are not making any mistake there. They will contract. Your rib cage will go outward, upward, outward, upward, right? It will go outward and upward like this. So these are two things that will occur when there is the inspiration. So diaphragm muscles contract, they will become flat, right? Your external intercostal muscles, they will contract, the rib cage will be outward, upward, outward, upward. So it is like this. It is like this. Are you getting it? Are you getting it? Yes. Are you getting it? So when your external intercostal muscles contract, your rib cage, right, will go outward, upward, and because of that, the volume towards dorsolateral axis will increase. Dorsoventral axis will increase, right? So overall, the volume will increase towards anterior-posterior axis and towards dorsoventral axis. So if volume is increasing, the pressure will come down, the air will enter. This is what inspiration is. Again, I am telling you, active process of 2 seconds, right? Active process of 2 seconds. So this is what it is. So that these two muscles, diaphragm muscles and external intercostal muscles, they are known as inspiratory muscles because they contract during inspiration. Okay, because they contract during inspiration. These two are known as the inspiratory muscles because they will contract during inspiration. So intrapulmonary pressure will be low, it will be negative. Now what's the next part? Next is your exhalation. Next is your exhalation, right? That is known as your expiration. Clear, bache? Exhalation or expiration. Clear, 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 clear. So this is the passive process. Passive process of 3 seconds. Okay, so of course one thing is clear here, the volume should be low so that pressure can increase. So here, bache, first of all, your external intercostal muscle, it will relax, even your diaphragm muscle will relax. So obviously if they both will relax, your rib cage will come to the normal position. Your rib cage will come to the normal position, and obviously the volume will decrease and the pressure will increase. Volume will decrease, the pressure will increase. And moreover here, your internal intercostal muscles, they also contract during expiration. Are you getting it? Now tell me, is it difficult? Yes, bache, is it difficult? Is it difficult? Yes. So can I say that during expiration, intrapulmonary pressure, like pressure within the lungs, is high? Can I say that pressure within the lungs is high? Yes, people. Can I say that the pressure within the lungs is high? Quick. Quick, quick, quick. So it is high in comparison to the atmospheric pressure, right? In comparison to the atmospheric pressure. Clear, bache? Okay. Sure? Okay, so this is what you need to know. So bache, two types of breathing is there. One is your thoracic breathing and another is your abdominal breathing. Thoracic and abdominal breathing. So abdominal breathing is mainly due to, yes, can you tell me which muscles are involved? right? Thoracic breathing is basically due to, yeah, abdominal breathing is basically due to, very simple, it is due to diaphragm. Okay, so obviously it is the normal breathing, and this thoracic breathing is due to intercostal muscles. Okay, it is due to intercostal muscles. So these are the two types of breathing, right? Right, bache? And we can even increase, you know, na, abdominal muscles are also there. Do you know about the abdominal muscles? Do you know about the abdominal muscles? So abdominal muscles, right? The abdominal muscles, what can they do? What can they do? They can increase the strength of inspiration and expiration. Clear? They can increase the strength of inspiration and expiration. So you remember one thing, right? You remember one thing, that during forceful, okay, during forceful expiration, just let's say normally when I'm teaching you, obviously I'm taking the air in and I'm moving it out as well. I'm taking the air in and I'm moving it out as well. When normally, right, I'm talking to you. Okay, this is the normally, right? This is normally when I'm talking to you, obviously I'm inhaling and exhaling. This is basically the tidal volume. I hope you know that. So now, bache, let's say if it is the forceful expiration, like this. If it is the forceful expiration, so during forceful expiration, right, your intercostal muscles and your abdominal muscles, they contract. Okay, they contract. Okay, and remember your forceful expiration is, remember your forceful expiration is also an active process. Okay, so during normally when it is the exhalation, simply your diaphragm muscles are relaxing, external intercostal muscles are relaxing. So if it is internal intercostal muscle are contracting and abdominal muscles are contracting, this is an active process. So it is the forceful expiration. It is the forceful expiration, and abdominal muscles are having the capability, right? They are having the capability to, you know, increase the strength of that respiration. Clear, bache? So that is what you need to remember. Let's quickly revise it from the NCERT and look at this diagram. Okay, so what is going to happen when there is the, yeah, inhalation? So inhalation mein diaphragm will be flat. Okay, diaphragm will be flat. Wait, look at this diagram. So see, diaphragm is going to contract, it will come down. Okay, ribs and sternum will be raised. This is inspiration. This is the rib cage. So volume of the thorax will increase. Now when air is expelled from the lungs, look at the position of, look at the direction of the arrows. So ribs and sternum, they will return to the original position. Diaphragm will relax and it will be arched upwards, means it will be dome shaped again. Volume of the thoracic will be decreased. Right? The volume of the thorax will be decreased. So that is important. It is very important. Okay. It is very important. Done, bache? Okay, so basically this setup is in such a way that there will be an increase in the volume of the thoracic chamber, and you know that that will cause a similar increase in the pulmonary volume as well, because both the things are related to each other. Okay, both the things are related to each other. Clear, bache? So increase in pulmonary volume decreases the intrapulmonary pressure to less than the atmospheric pressure, which forces the air from outside to move to the lungs. So this is how you can even write it, right? When intrapulmonary pressure is lower than the atmospheric pressure, what is going to happen? The inspiration. Understood? The inspiration. Understood? Any doubt? Any doubt? Done? So then see, the relaxation of diaphragm and intercostal muscles return the diaphragm and sternum to their normal position, reduces thoracic volume and thereby the pulmonary volume. So pulmonary pressure will be high. Okay, so air will be expelled. This is the expiration. So we have the ability to increase the strength of inspiration and expiration with the help of abdominal muscle. Okay, so see, it is written here that on an average, right, it is, right, a healthy individual, a healthy human breath is 12 to 16 times per minute, right, in a healthy individual, on an average. That's the case, right? On an average, that's the case. Clear, bache? Clear, clear, clear. 12 to 16 times per minute. Okay, 12 to 16 times per minute. Clear? So mechanism of breathing, it is important. You should know about the active passive part. You should know about the yes, about the muscles as well. Okay, chalo. So can we start our next topic, the capacities and the volume? Can we start our next topic, the capacities and the volume? Hanji, can we start our next topic, the capacities and the volume? So how many of you consider it difficult? How many of you consider it difficult? 2-minute break. What will you do in that break? Chalo, I'll give you the break after completing it. Okay? 5-minute ka break after completing it. Actually, that is not difficult. It is easy. So what are we going to discuss next? It is the respiratory volumes and the capacities. Respiratory volumes and the capacities. First of all, understand the volumes. Then trust me, capacities will be very easy for you. So when you talk about the volumes, we have tidal volume, right? Which volumes are we going to discuss? We have tidal volume, we have inspiratory reserve volume, we have expiratory reserve volume, and then it is the residual volume. These are the 4 volumes that we need to discuss, right? Type the names in the chat section quickly. Type these 4 names in the chat section quickly. Quick, quick, quick. Please do it quickly. Type these 4 volumes, their names in the chat section. You will get the break. Let me finish this, then you will get the break. Tidal volume, inspiratory reserve volume, expiratory reserve volume, and then there is the residual volume. Tidal volume, inspiratory reserve volume, then there is the expiratory reserve volume, then comes the residual volume, right? Then comes the residual volume. So see, it's very simple, right? Volumes, they are going to tell us about the volumes and capacities. They will tell us about the lung capacity, जैसे the amount of air that our lungs can hold, right? Can inhale and exhale. जैसे it is always advised to do that breathing exercises, the yoga, okay? Breathing exercises, the yoga, right? Why? Because it will increase the capacity, the ability of the lungs as well, right? That all that exercises are good. So now here, what are we going to discuss? The respiratory volume. So respiratory volume mein you are having the tidal volume first. What do you have first? The tidal volume. So now when you are talking about the tidal volume, so it is the volume of air inspired or expired during a normal respiration. Like normally we are talking, okay? Normally we are talking to each other, okay? So at that time also you are inhaling and exhaling. We are inhaling and exhaling. We are not doing it willingly. This process is going on. Actually, it is the tidal volume. What is it? It is actually the tidal volume. Are you getting it? What is it actually? It is the tidal volume, okay? Okay, so with per breath, right, how much air you are going to inspire or expire? It is the 500 ml, approximately 500 ml, right, approximately 500 ml. So out of this 500 ml students, 350 ml is your alveolar air. It will go to the alveoli. It is that alveolar air. It will go to the alveoli. And 150 ml is the dead space volume, right? It is playing no role. It is playing no role in the inspiration and expiration. It is just present there in the lungs. So it is anatomically dead space volume. So it is 150 ml. Clear, bache? Clear bache? So with per breath, right, per breath you are inhaling, exhaling, that amount is 500 ml. 500 ml. Out of that 500 ml, right, 350 ml. Out of that 500 ml, 350 ml is the alveolar air and 150 ml is the anatomical dead space volume, which is playing no role in the exchange of gases. Clear bache? Which is playing no role in the exchange of gases. So on an average, you know that on an average, and a healthy adult individual is going to take breathe 12 to 16 times, right, per minute, 12 to 16 times per minute. So multiply this 12 to 500 or 16 to 500, you will get it 6000 to 8000 ml, right? So this is the tidal volume per minute, right? 6000 to 8000 ml, or you can say that 6 liters to 8 liters. So is that clear? Is that clear? Surya, it is not going to cause any effect, right? Because our lungs, they should have some air in them, okay? They should have some air in them, right, Surya? So it is related to that. If it will not be there, your lungs will be, you know, they will just like, you can say that kind of shrink. Okay, so this part clear, the tidal volume. Then inspiratory reserve volume. So obviously it is talking about the inspiration, about the inhalation. So additional volume of air a person can inspire after a forcible inspiration. Just say normally we are talking to each other. I'm inhaling, exhaling. Now I'm doing like this. Okay, I'm doing like this. I'm inhaling. I am inhaling. Okay, so this is basically 2500 ml to 3000 ml. So basically, right, normally it was 500 ml. Okay, but now forcible inspiration it is. So it is 2500 to 3000 ml. So yes, you need to remember these values. You need to remember these values. Now, next to it is expiratory reserve volume. This forcible expiration. Forcible expiration. So obviously 1000 to 1100 ml. Right? Because it's very simple. When you were inhaling, it was 2500 to 3000. But when you are exhaling, it is 1000 to 1100. Just let's say if someone is saying, yaar, you can take the money from me. Right? Tell me, how much money do you want? Okay, so you are like, give me 3000 rupees or 4000 rupees. Now someone is asking you for the money. Yaar, please give it to me. Right? Right, please give it to me. I have to take my girlfriend for the lunch or the dinner, or my boyfriend for the lunch or the dinner. Right, give me the money. Then obviously you will be like, yeah, chalo, let's give that person 1000 rupees or 1100 rupees. It's like that. It's like that. Right, so when you are taking, you want more. When you are giving, you just want to give very less. You just want to give very less. That's the case here. That's the thing here. Now, after that, the remaining one, it is the residual volume. It is the residual volume, the remaining volume. Your lungs cannot be totally empty ever. Okay, there will always be the amount of air within the lungs. So volume of air remaining in the lungs even after a forcible expiration. Just say, let's say someone is asking you for the money and you are like, yaar, see, I don't have any money, I'm broke, I can just give you 1000 rupees. Okay, but still you are smart enough. You know that you cannot give your, all the money to someone, right? Even you should save, right? You should save for that rainy days. So what will you do? You will be like, yeah, see, I just have 1000 rupees, I'll give it to you. But still, you are keeping 1200 rupees for yourself, right? You are smart. You people are smart. So residual volume, the remaining volume. Because might be, you have to go for a date or something. Right? So you should save the money. So residual volume will be 1100 to 1200 ml. That's what you have to remember. So what we have discussed so far, the volumes. So in the volumes, tidal volume 500 ml per breath, and for 1 minute it will be 6000 to 8000 ml. Then inspiratory reserve volume per breath will be 2500 to 3000 ml. Expiratory reserve volume will be your 1000 to 1100 ml, and here residual volume will be your 1100 to 1200 ml. This is what we have. Now students, when you talk about the capacities, pulmonary capacities, your lung capacities, they are the combination of the volumes. What are they? They are the combinations of the volume. What are they? They are the combinations of the volume. It's very simple. Here you have to remember, yes, vital capacity, okay, let's start the story with the inspiratory capacity. Inspiratory capacity, that is IC. Expiratory capacity, that is EC. Vital capacity, that is VC. Total lung capacity, that is TLC. And then functional residual capacity, then functional residual capacity, functional residual capacity, FRC. It is FRC. Okay, so inspiratory capacity IC, expiratory capacity EC, vital capacity VC, total lung capacity TLC, functional residual capacity FRC. So remember, keep tidal volume common. ठीक है, tidal volume, ठीक है. Leaving this functional residual capacities for all the capacities, just keep it like this: tidal volume, tidal volume, tidal volume. Now because it is the inspiratory capacity, so in the tidal volume add inspiratory reserve volume. Tidal volume means per breath, right? How much air you are inhaling or exhaling, that should be there. So leaving this functional residual capacity, all the capacities will have this tidal volume. So if it is inspiratory capacity, then it will be inspiratory reserve volume. If it is expiratory capacity, it will be expiratory reserve volume. If it is the vital capacity of lungs, then add inspiratory reserve volume as well as expiratory reserve volume. Inspiratory reserve volume as well as expiratory reserve volume. And when it is the total, in the total you have to even consider, right? You have to consider everything. You have to consider the residual volume as well. You have to consider the residual volume as well. Okay, so total lung capacity will be tidal volume plus inspiratory reserve volume plus expiratory reserve volume plus residual volume. And when it is the functional residual capacities, then obviously you are talking about the remaining one, obviously after the forcible expiration, and you have to even include the residual volume. That's it. So take a look. Trust me, it's very simple. Trust me, it is very simple. So when it is inspiratory capacity, tidal volume plus inspiratory reserve volume. Expiratory capacity, tidal volume plus expiratory reserve volume. Vital capacity, tidal volume plus IRV plus ERV. When it is total, you have to even consider the residual volume. And then when it is the functional residual capacity, ERV plus RV. That is it. Simple it is. Isn't it? Simple. है ना? It's very simple. It is seriously very simple. है ना? Yes, ma'am. So again I am repeating. This total lung capacity, tidal volume, inspiratory reserve volume, expiratory reserve volume and the residual volume. So this is actually the vital capacity. So can I write it like this? कि total lung capacity is vital capacity plus residual volume. Of course I can. Of course I can. So this is what the capacities are. So let's revise it quickly from the NCERT. So when it is the inspiratory capacity, they are saying total volume of air. Now it is the capacity, means the ability of the lungs. Just you are saying that ma'am, in 30 minutes I can solve 90 MCQs. Okay, that is your capacity, that is your ability. So here, when it is the inspiratory capacity, total volume of a air person can inspire after a normal expiration. Normally you are expiring, you are exhaling. What is the volume of air that you can take in? That is basically the inspiratory capacity. Simple. What is expiratory capacity? Total volume of air a person can expire after normal inspiration. जैसे normally done, ठीक है. What can you inhale after that? Inspiratory capacity. Now total volume of air a person can expire. Normally you have inspired, After that, what can you release? That is your expiratory capacity. Then what is your functional residual capacity, bache? Volume of air that will remain in the lungs after a normal expiration. What is there in the lungs after the normal expiration? That is functional residual capacity. So next is, yes, the next is vital capacity, the maximum volume of air a person can breathe in after a forced expiration. After forced expiration, what is the maximum volume of air that you can take in, right? And total means total volume of air accommodated in the lungs at a forced inspiration. So that is what you need to remember. Sometimes you even get confused, okay? Okay, you even get confused in the inspiration expiration word. So make sure you read the definitions properly, right? Rest everything is easy. Inspiratory capacity, expiratory capacity, functional residual. But please don't get confused in vital capacity and the total lung capacity. Is that clear? Is that clear? So next topic is the exchange of gases. This is what we need to discuss, and then the transport of gases. So it is again very simple. So before starting this exchange of gases, we should know about the alveoli. So tell me if there is any doubt. Ma'am, tomorrow please keep the PYQ session. Definitely I will. Anything else? Anything else? Break. Yeah, why do you expect a break in the 3-hour session? What will you do with that break? What will you do with that break? The session is just for 3 hours or maybe for 3.5 hours. What will you do with that break? Did you get any break in your chemistry or physics class? Huh? Wow, dance break. No, you should dance like this only. Simple. And no break was there in physics and chemistry class. Then why are you expecting it in biology, yaar? है ना? Okay. So next is the exchange of gases. So basically we know that alveoli is the primary site for exchange of gases, isn't it? It is the alveoli which is the primary site for exchange of gases. Alveoli, also known as atria, right? So when you talk about the alveoli, so they are the sac-like structures, okay? Right? They are the sac-like structures, and what is it? It is the primary site for the exchange of gases. What is it? It is the primary site for the exchange of gases. Now the diffusion is going to take place here, right? This is the alveoli. You know that they are highly vascularized structure, right? They are highly vascularized. They are having the abundant blood supply, isn't it? Isn't it? They are having the abundant blood supply. They are thin walled. They are highly vascularized. So can I write it like this? They are thin, irregular walled, and highly vascularized. Right? Highly vascularized bag-like structures. Okay, bag-like structures. Please allow me 3 minutes. Okay, 2 to 3 minutes, please. So eventually you got the break. Chalo, let's continue. Okay, let's continue. So alveoli, what are they? They are thin walled. Okay, they are thin walled, thin irregular walled, highly vascularized, bag like structures. Okay, so the diffusion is going to occur here, so it is obvious that it will be having simple squamous epithelium, right? What will they contain, bache? They'll be having simple squamous epithelium, right? Simple squamous epithelium. Clear? Yes, simple squamous epithelium. Okay, yes. Right, simple squamous epithelium है ना. So when you talk about the types of cells here, so what type of cells are there in alveoli? What type of cells are there in alveoli? Obviously simple squamous. Simple means single layered. Squamous, they are flat irregular cells, and other than that you have type 1 and type 2 cells. ठीक है, type 1 pneumocytes and type 2 pneumocytes are there, right? Type 1 pneumocytes and type 2 pneumocytes are there. So type 1 cells, they are your pneumocytes. Okay, type 2 cells, they are also the larger cells. ठीक है, these pneumocytes, they are comparatively smaller. In the alveoli lining, you cannot only say कि भाई simple squamous epithelium cells are there. No, dust cells are also there. ठीक है, these pneumocytes are also there. ठीक है, these pneumocytes are also there. So basically pneumocytes 1, right? It is the type 1, they are the smaller cells, and there are the type 2 cells also, which are the larger cells, right? There are type 2 cells also, bache, which are what? These type 2 cells are the larger cells. Clear, bache? So this type 1, which is the smaller, it will help primarily in the gaseous exchange, and this type 2, which is the larger cells, they will release the phospholipid lecithin. They are going to release the phospholipid lecithin. So do you know that it is the most common type of phospholipid? Do you know that it is the most common type of phospholipid? Yes, Tipati. Do you know that it is the most common type of phospholipid? The type 1, and its structure is also there in the chapter biomolecules. In the chapter biomolecules, there is a page now where they have given all the structures. So the structure of lecithin is also very important because it is also nitrogen containing. Okay, you should know about it. You should know about it. So type 1 pneumocytes, the smaller one, help in gaseous exchange. Okay, they help in gaseous exchange. And this type 2, right, it releases a phospholipid lecithin, and that lecithin acts as a surfactant, right? It acts like a surfactant. So basically it will reduce the, yes bache Surya, what that lecithin will do? It will reduce the surface tension. It will reduce the surface tension. It is a surfactant. What will it do? It reduces the surface tension. Okay, so that is the role of these cells. These are the cells present in the alveoli, right? These are the cells that are present in the alveoli. Clear, bache? Clear, bache? Any doubt? Yes, do you have any doubt here? Sure, sure. So alveoli is having the cells, the simple squamous cells which is lining it, plus the type 1 pneumocytes, smaller, helping in gaseous exchange, type 2 larger, which are releasing this phospholipid lecithin, right bache? So this alveoli, it is further covered with the, okay, on the outer side, this is further covered with the yellow fibrous connective tissue. It is further covered with the yellow fibrous connective tissue. Clear, bache? So in each lung, how many alveoli are there? In each lung, how many alveoli are there? Yes, Tepati, Janisha, Samiksha, Mahatha. In each lung, how many alveoli are there? Very simple. It's a very simple question. In each lung, I'm talking about the each lung. Anyone in the class who can answer it? It's a very simple question. It is a very simple question. In each lung, how many alveoli are there? Are simple. Overall in the lungs, if we have 300 million alveoli, So as of now, just to answer it, you can say 150. Exactly we don't know, but this is what you people can say, right? So millions of alveoli are present in the lungs. Clear, bache? So this is what alveoli is, where the exchange of gases will be there. So if you remember a little bit of structural organization, if you don't remember it, then on this channel itself, yes, I took one lecture on structural organization as well, so you can check that lecture. So you know that when you talk about the epithelial cells, if you remember it, then very good. Otherwise, see, if you talk about the epithelial cells, all that cells, they lie on a basement membrane, right? These cells are going to lie on a basement membrane. You remember that? Yes, do you remember that? They lie on the basement membrane. Clear, bache? You remember basement membrane having basal lamina, fibrous lamina. So let's not discuss in that detail. So let's say it is the alveolar membrane. Okay, it is the alveolar membrane. And below that alveolar membrane, you are having the basement membrane, right? You are having the basement membrane. Now here in the surrounding, what do you have? You are having the blood capillary. So this blood capillary is also having this simple squamous epithelium. Okay, see, this is the capillary membrane. So it is also lying over the basement membrane. Okay, it is also lying over the basement membrane. So this is the cells of capillary. You also call it as endothelial cells, right? You also call it as endothelial cells. So bache, so you can see this is the alveolar membrane, this is the endothelial cells, here the cells of capillary membrane. They both are lying on the basement membrane, and there is a very small space in between. So these three, right, these three are known as the respiratory membrane. These three are known as the respiratory membrane. One is the epithelium of alveoli. Second, epithelium of capillary, that is your endothelial cells. Third, the basement membrane. Third is what? Third is the basement membrane present in two. Right, so these three are making the respiratory membrane. So the thickness of respiratory membrane should be, its thickness should be less than 1 millimeter. Okay, so that is very important for the smooth exchange of gases. How that exchange of gases will occur, right? Tell me how that exchange of gases will occur. Let me show you the diagram from the NCERT. This is the diagram from the NCERT. You can see that this is the alveoli, alveolar membrane. Air is coming in. This is the alveolar cavity. So squamous epithelial of alveolar wall. Right, it is simple squamous, that's why it is one-celled thick. Okay, this is the endothelium of blood capillaries. It is also the simple squamous epithelium. It is made up of it is also the simple squamous epithelium. Now in between these two, right, you can see basement membrane is present. So these three are making the respiratory membrane. Their thickness should be very less. It should be less than 1 millimeter. Right, why is it so, bache? Why is it so? Because for the diffusion, the thickness and the thinness of membrane matters the most. If the membrane will be very thick, the diffusion will be at a very slower rate. Okay, so it should be thin. Are you getting it? It should be thin. Are you getting it? Yes, are you getting it? So you can see here, right, so alveoli are the primary site for the exchange of gases. Alveoli are the primary sites for the exchange of gases. So it also occur between blood and tissue, right? Right, so oxygen and CO2 are exchanged in these sites by simple diffusion. So now you know that what is simple diffusion. It is passive process, no energy is involved, right? So molecules are moving from their higher concentration to the lower concentration. So definitely it is based on the concentration gradient. So this is the one factor. Right, this is the one factor which is very important for the diffusion, the concentration gradient. Second important factor is the solubility of the gas, how soluble it is. Just say your CO2 is more soluble in blood than the oxygen. Okay, soluble means, right, CO2 is more soluble in the blood than the oxygen. So CO2 can dissolve very easily in your blood. So solubility of the gas as well as thickness of the membrane, right? these are the three main factors that affect the rate of diffusion. Clear? That affects the rate of diffusion. Okay bache, so pressure contributed by, now it's very simple. You are talking about the gases. You are talking about the gases. Gases is a mixture. Sorry, you are talking about the air. Air is what? Air is a mixture of gases. Right? Air is a mixture of gases. Let's say you are going to school, you don't have sufficient money to buy a pizza. What will you do? You will contribute, right? You will touch the money, right? Someone will contribute 50, like let's say you'll be like, we all will contribute 50 rupees and we'll get the pizza. So that pizza, it doesn't belong to only one person, right? You all have contributed there. You have your share there, isn't it? Same is the case here. Air is the mixture of gases. It is having the oxygen, it is having the CO2, it is having the nitrogen, it is having other gases also. So all that individual gases are having their pressure. Okay, so that pressure, so in the air, because air is a mixture of gases, so each gas is having its pressure. So what are we going to call it? When we talk about that individual pressure, we use the word partial pressure, right? We use the word partial pressure. So when we total the partial pressure of all the gases, then we will get the pressure of the air. Okay, so partial pressure means the pressure of that component, okay, the pressure of that particular gas. So how are you going to denote it? If it is the partial pressure of oxygen, you will write it like this. If it is the partial pressure of CO2, you will write it like this. So that's what we have to do in this particular chapter. Okay, okay, partial pressure. Okay, bache? So pressure contributed by the individual gas in a mixture of gas is the partial pressure, right? Right. So partial pressure of these two gases, that is your oxygen and CO2, is given in, right, and the two sides of diffusion are given, right? We should know about it. See this is what we are talking. This is what we are talking. Okay, so you already know air will enter, you know the mechanism of breathing. Air will come in the alveoli. So in the alveoli, tell me, what will be high, the partial pressure of oxygen or carbon dioxide? Hanji, what will be high, the partial pressure of oxygen or the carbon dioxide? Tell me, what will be high, the partial pressure of oxygen or the carbon dioxide? In the alveoli. Dekho na, this is the external respiration. This is the external respiration. It's very simple. We will inhale, the air will enter in the alveoli, and here it will get exchanged with the blood capillaries. Now this blood will carry the oxygen, right? This blood is going to carry the oxygen, right? So now these tissues where CO2 is high, here the exchange of gases will occur and we will call it as internal respiration. And when an individual cell is going to utilize that oxygen for the oxidation of glucose and to release the energy, that will be our cellular respiration. That will be our cellular respiration. So now tell me, in the alveoli, the partial pressure of oxygen will be high. So here you can see, in the atmospheric air, the partial pressure of oxygen is 159 mmHg. In the alveoli, it will be 104. So what about that remaining wala pressure? What happened to that? Okay, that is my question for all of you. See, in the atmospheric air, the partial pressure is 159 mmHg. I'm talking about the oxygen. In the alveoli, it is 104. So here it is 159. Here it is 104. Why there is such difference? That's your homework. You have to answer the question in the comment section. And I'll keep one very small MCQ practice session. In that session also I will answer this. Okay? Now when the blood is oxygenated blood means which is having the oxygen, where hemoglobin is attached to the oxygen. There the partial pressure of oxygen is 95 mmHg, and if it is the deoxygenated blood, it will be 40. And in the tissue, the partial pressure of oxygen is 40. So that is why this, right, the blood from the alveoli, the oxygen from the alveoli, it will diffuse to the blood capillaries in the vicinity, and then that blood capillaries will take that blood toward the tissue part, and in the tissue, see, the pressure is low, the pressure of oxygen is low, so that is how it will get exchanged, right? So oxygen will move from the area of its high pressure to the low pressure. That's how it is going to work. Done. Now for the carbon dioxide, the partial pressure of carbon dioxide in atmospheric air is very less, it is 0.3. And if you talk about the tissue, it is 45. It is 45. Even in the deoxygenated blood, it is 45. In the alveoli, it is 40. And in the oxygenated blood also, it is 40. So yes, this table is very important. It should be on your fingertips. Okay? So oxygenated of blood having 95 mm Hg partial pressure of oxygen, and if I talk about the carbon dioxide, it is 40. So you cannot say that if the blood is oxygenated, it doesn't have CO2. It is having the CO2, right? So tell me one thing, where will you get the oxygenated blood? In the arteries or in the veins? Where are you going to get the oxygenated blood? In the arteries or in the veins? Tell me, where are you going to get the oxygenated blood? In the arteries or in the veins? Excellent, Surya. And Selena, you really need to revise it. It's very simple. Oxygenated blood. Oxygenated blood will be there in the arteries. Arteries, they carry the oxygenated blood, and yes, you have the exception, and that exception is your pulmonary artery. That exception is your pulmonary artery. Clear, bache? That exception is your pulmonary artery. Now, the deoxygenated blood, okay, so it will be carried by veins. Again, there is an exception, your pulmonary vein, because your pulmonary vein, it carries the oxygenated blood. Okay, so here also, see, look at the partial pressure. So oxygen is less, CO2 is more. So always remember, bache, this is something very important. When you talk about the oxygenated blood, which is in the arteries, so the amount of carbon dioxide, the partial pressure of carbon dioxide is going to decide the inspiration. This is something very important that I am telling you right now. See, if in the arteries where there should be high partial pressure of oxygen, if in the arteries the partial pressure of carbon dioxide increases, it sends a signal to the brain. Okay? It sends a signal to the brain, and the medulla oblongata, which is the respiratory center, that medulla oblongata is having the respiratory center, so it will start the inspiration. So it is not the amount of oxygen, right? Yeah, decrease in the partial pressure of oxygen that initiates inspiration. No. So if in the arteries, if in the oxygenated blood the partial pressure of carbon dioxide increases, then it sends a signal to the brain that now it's the time for the inspiration. Okay, that now it's the time for the inspiration. Got it? So yes, you should know about this table, you should know about these values. Okay, now come to the next part. Okay, so that is what you have. Alveoli, partial pressure of oxygen is high in comparison to the CO2. So obviously from here the oxygen will diffuse to the blood capillary, right, to the blood capillary, right, and that blood capillary will carry, this is basically the lung, so pulmonary vein will carry the oxygenated blood to the heart. You remember the trick, bache? Do you remember the trick? It is LOD. Left side of the heart is having oxygenated blood, right side of the heart is having deoxygenated blood. Left side of the heart is having oxygenated blood, right side is having deoxygenated blood. So your pulmonary vein will carry the oxygenated blood to the left auricle, then to the left ventricle, and then your systemic aorta, right, your dorsal aorta will carry it. It will further divide and will carry it to the tissue. Got it? And now here in the tissues, partial pressure of oxygen is less, right? In the tissue, the partial pressure of oxygen is less, 40, and the partial pressure of CO2 will be high, 45 mmHg. So here again the exchange will be there, because blood is having the high partial pressure of oxygen. So oxygen will move to the tissue, CO2 will enter in blood capillaries. So now these systemic veins will carry it to the right side, right auricle, then to right ventricle, and pulmonary aorta will carry it to the lungs. So that's how this cycle is. So once we will complete it in the human, in the body fluid and circulation, you'll understand it in a better way. So you should know about the partial pressures and everything, right? So it is the systemic artery that will carry the oxygenated blood towards the tissue. It is the systemic vein which will bring back it to the heart. So arteries are moving away from the heart, veins are moving towards the heart. Okay, arteries are moving away from the heart, veins are moving towards the heart. Clear? Clear, clear, clear? Sure? Are you sure? So see, the layers are also given. So remember, your CO2 solubility of carbon dioxide is 20 to 25 times higher than that of the oxygen. The amount of CO2 that can diffuse through the diffusion membrane per unit difference in partial pressure is much high compared to the oxygen. So because the solubility of carbon dioxide is more than the oxygen, it is 20 to 25 times more. So the amount of CO2 that can diffuse through this, right, that can diffuse through this diffusion membrane, through this respiratory membrane is more, right, because it is more soluble. It is more soluble. Clear, bache? Clear, bache? So you know about the layers here. So the total thickness should not be, it should not be more than 1 millimeter. So all the factors in the body are favorable for the diffusion of oxygen from alveoli to tissue and CO2 from tissue to alveoli. So next is the transport of gases that we need to understand, and of course we are going to start with the transport of oxygen. So it is a kind of last topic of this chapter. Let's finish the transport of gases. Then bache, after that you have regulation of respiration, which will hardly take 5 minutes. Disorders will hardly take 7 to 8 minutes. So these are the another two most important topics. So can we continue? Yes? Or are you tired? It will take next 1 hour, that's all. Even less than 1 hour. Okay, so I don't think that you should ask for a break. We should continue, we should finish it, because you know that already we are running out of time. One day, one chapter is very important thing. Let's do it. Okay, let's do it. Yeah, disorders are important. From the human physiology, from the genetics part, disorders are important. You should not miss the disorders. Okay? You should not miss the disorders. Hannah, no need for that break now. Let's continue. So how's the energy, people? How's the energy? Tell me, how's the energy? Low? Yes, Learika. How's the energy? Low, ma'am. Disorders are also easy. The transport of oxygen, this transport part is important. Okay, this transport part is important, and it is also very easy. It's not difficult. It is also very easy. Exchange part is very easy. Transport is also very easy. Dekho, I'll give you one thing. Transport of oxygen is due to the Bohr's effect. If in simple word, if I have to tell you, the transport of oxygen is due to the Bohr's effect. It is due to the Bohr's effect. Now let's understand what is the story. Ultimately, we have to consider the NCERT only. But when you talk about the transport of gases, right, you know that oxygen is very important for the oxidation of the glucose. Okay? It is very important for the oxidation of the glucose. Am I right? It is very important for the oxidation of the glucose, and the energy will be released. Okay? So when you are talking about the transport of gases, firstly we are going to talk about the oxygen transport. So we need to know about the hemoglobin. So what is hemoglobin? Hemoglobin is the respiratory pigment. Right? I am going to simplify it, so you please listen to me. Hemoglobin is the respiratory pigment. Okay? It is the one that carry oxygen. Where is it present? It is present within the RBC. Now when you talk about the RBC, you know that they are enucleated at maturity, right? They are enucleated, they are biconcave. They are enucleated, they are biconcave. And do you know this biconcave? Why are they biconcave? Right, that biconcave shape increases the surface area and the exchange is easy. Okay, and the exchange is easy. Exchange is more frequent. Okay, so RBCs, they are enucleated at maturity, they are biconcave. ठीक है. So that RBCs are fully loaded with the pigment. That pigment is known as your hemoglobin, and we denote it with the HB. Now when you talk about the hemoglobin, students, it's a quaternary protein, right? What type of protein it is? It's a quaternary. It's a quaternary protein. Basically बच्चे, this protein is having 4 polypeptide chains. जैसे one polypeptide chain which is in its 3D tertiary structure, the another polypeptide chain, the another polypeptide chain. So basically it is having 4 polypeptide chains. ठीक है. So in this hemoglobin, the globin is the protein part. It is actually that polypeptide. It is the protein part, and heme is that pigment. Okay, heme is that pigment. Clear बच्चे? Heme is that pigment. So just have a look. See this. This is the hemoglobin, the quaternary protein having 4 polypeptide chains. So this part is basically your heme part. Okay, the pigment part. Heme part, the pigment part, and 4 polypeptide chains are there. So 2 alpha chains and 2 beta chains. Okay, 2 alpha chains and 2 beta chains are present there. What do we have? 2 alpha chains and 2 beta chains are there. So this heme is having ion, that is Fe2 positive. This is ferrous now, it is having Fe2 positive. This is also very important. So this one ion, it joins with one O2. So basically in one hemoglobin, you have that 4 Fe2 positive. In one hemoglobin molecule, you have 4 Fe2 positive. So can I say that one hemoglobin can carry 4 oxygen molecules? Can I say that one hemoglobin can carry 4 oxygen molecules? Yes, 4 oxygen molecules. So can we write it like this? Yes, so this is the hemoglobin part, this is the oxygen, and when they both are going to join, we will call it as oxyhemoglobin. We are going to call it as oxyhemoglobin. Right? So when oxygen is added to the hemoglobin, we use the word oxygenation. It is not oxidation, it is oxygenation, the addition of oxygen to the hemoglobin. What is it? It is addition of oxygen to the hemoglobin. Clear? It is addition of oxygen to the hemoglobin. Clear? Right? So what is it? It is the oxygenation. Sure? Any doubt? Hanji, do you have any doubt? Sure? Right, so this is the oxygenation. So you know that when you talk about the oxygen, 3% of the oxygen. So hemoglobin is the red colored pigment. See, look at this part. So you know that about 97% of the oxygen is transported by RBCs in the blood. Okay, and how will it be transported? By the formation of oxyhemoglobin. So this is the oxygenation, addition of oxygen to the hemoglobin. So 3% of the oxygen will be carried by the plasma in the dissolved state. You know na, blood is having 2 components, plasma and the formed elements, right? So formed element means your blood cells, like your RBC. So your RBC is having hemoglobin. So 97% of the oxygen will be carried by hemoglobin. 3% will be there in the dissolved form. Right? Ma'am, is it possible to crack NEET within 50 days? It is possible to crack NEET within 50 days if you have studied something before, right? And if you will revise properly. Okay, Yaga Priya? Okay, so this part clear. So 3% will be in the dissolved form and 97% of the hemoglobin oxygen will be in the oxyhemoglobin form. So I just said that is the oxygenation, addition of oxygen. So remember, oxygenation, oxidation, these are 2 different words. Do not confuse it. It is oxygenation and it is temporary also and reversible also. It is temporary as well as reversible. It is temporary as well as reversible. Clear? It is temporary as well as reversible in nature. So there are the factors that are going to help here, right? Jaise, see, hemoglobin is a very opportunist kind of molecule. Okay? Hemoglobin is like, if the partial pressure of oxygen is high, I will join to the oxygen. If the partial pressure of carbon dioxide is high, I will join to the carbon dioxide, I will leave oxygen. Literally, hemoglobin is like this. Okay? Hemoglobin is like this. Okay? So, what are the conditions for the oxygenation of hemoglobin? What are the conditions for the formation of oxyhemoglobin? The partial pressure of oxygen should be high. So if partial pressure of oxygen is high, it is obvious that partial pressure of oxygen should be low. The partial pressure of oxygen should be low. And if partial pressure of oxygen is low, the H positive hydrogen ion concentration will also be low. Okay? It will also be low. As of now, you please write it. Let me explain you the transport of CO2, then you will understand this part in a better way. So partial pressure, what do we need? High partial pressure of oxygen for oxygenation and low partial pressure of carbon dioxide and less hydrogen ion concentration. So if hydrogen ion concentration is less, then obviously the pH is high. You know na, pH scale 7 neutral, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, they are acidic. So if the pH is 1, means it is highly acidic. It is highly acidic. Okay? So, and even when you talk about the temperature, even the temperature is also going to be low. Even the temperature is also going to be low. So these are the things for the oxygenation, means for the formation of oxyhemoglobin. Okay? For the formation of oxyhemoglobin. Okay? So now oxygen. Okay. So now this relationship, basically, that oxygen, hemoglobin, their saturation, we are going to discuss the oxygen hemoglobin dissociation curve. That will explain everything. Now just look at this structure. Okay? Look at this structure. Here I am saying that this is your hemoglobin. So if that hemoglobin will get attached to the oxygen, if it will get attached to the oxygen, can I say that the hemoglobin is saturated? Can I say that the hemoglobin is saturated? Surya, that is not going to happen. Don't worry. Can I say that this is the saturation of the hemoglobin? Like if hemoglobin is having, this one molecule of hemoglobin is having 4 molecules of oxygen attached. Can I say that the hemoglobin is fully saturated? Tell me. Can I say that your hemoglobin is fully saturated? Of course I can. Of course I can. This is the saturation. Now, just let's say if I'll keep teaching you for 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, you will be saturated, right? And there comes a point when you will not be able to retain anything. You will not be able to understand anything because you are saturated. You need a break. They say as of now you need a break. You're like, ma'am, please stop everything and give us a break. I can give you the break, but if I will go for 10 minutes and if I will start later, then bache, that momentum will not be there. Now we'll miss it. We will miss that momentum. That's why let's continue it. Okay, so you will be free by 10:15 or 10:30. Okay, not more than that. Done. So understand this thing. So this part clear na? This part clear? This part clear? Okay, saturation part clear. Now, before starting the oxyhemoglobin dissociation curve, now you know that in the 100 ml of blood, how many hemoglobin molecules do we have? Right? Can you tell me? Under normal physiological conditions, what's the point? See, under normal physiological condition, what's the point? See, adult individual, an adult is having 15 gram of hemoglobin per 100 ml of blood. Do you know that? an adult individual under healthy conditions is having 15 gram of hemoglobin per 100 ml of blood. 15 gram of hemoglobin per 100 ml of blood. And do you know that 1 gram of hemoglobin carries 1.3 ml of oxygen? This is the information that you need to remember. Okay? Under normal physiological conditions, right, before that, under normal physiological conditions, remember, an adult individual is having 15 gram of hemoglobin per 100 ml. So 1 gram of hemoglobin, right bache, the 1 gram of hemoglobin, it carries 1.34 ml of oxygen. 1 gram of hemoglobin, it carries 1.34 ml of oxygen. So obviously 15 gram of hemoglobin will carry 19.4 ml of oxygen. So can I say that 19.4 ml of oxygen is present in per 100 ml of blood? Yes. Can I say that 19.4 ml of oxygen is present per 100 ml of blood? Right? Per 100 ml of blood. So basically in oxygenated blood, that's the scenario. Okay? That's the scenario in the oxygenated blood. Can I say so? Can I say so? Approximately you can consider it as 20. No worries. Approximately you can consider it as 20. That's the point. So, right, and now when you talk about the deoxygenated blood, do you know in deoxygenated blood, do you know this amount in the deoxygenated blood? Yes, it is 14.4 ml of oxygen per 100 ml. Okay? Again I am repeating this. In 100 ml of blood, जैसे whenever we go for the blood test, doctor tells us ना कि after all that blood test, what we got to know that in 100 ml we have 12 gram of hemoglobin, या 13 gram of hemoglobin, या 14 gram of hemoglobin. This is what we know. So always remember that your 1 gram of hemoglobin carries 1.34 ml of oxygen. So if per ml 15 gram of hemoglobin is there, so it means if it is fully saturated, okay, it will carry 19.4 ml of oxygen. This is the story of your oxygenated blood. This is the story of your oxygenated blood. Right? This is the story of your oxygenated blood. Right? So approximately 20 ml. Then in the deoxygenated blood, from that table, right? From that table, I think you all can understand from that table, even your deoxygenated blood is also having the oxygen. Even your deoxygenated blood is also having the oxygen. है ना? So deoxygenated blood is having 14.4 ml of oxygen. So it will be 5 ml. It will be 5 ml of oxygen. Yes, it will be 5 ml of oxygen. Yes or no? Yes or no? It will be 5 ml of oxygen. Yes or no? Of course. So can I say that your 100 ml of blood is transporting 5 ml of oxygen? Can I say that your 100 ml of blood is transporting 5 ml of oxygen? Yes. It is 5. So this is the the calculated results that you need to remember. Okay, this is what you need to know. Understood? This is what you need to know. So if you want to keep it 20, you can keep it 15. Again, the answer is going to be same. So under normal conditions, when you are not doing any strenuous exercise, when you are not doing excess of workout, then in that case it is the 5 ml of oxygen that will be transported by your 100 ml of blood. But if you are doing some exercise or something else, then in that case it can even be 10 ml, it can even be 15 ml. Okay? Okay? Yes, that's the reason behind the values in NCERT. I have explained this portion to you. Okay? Now the next is oxyhemoglobin dissociation curve. Next is oxyhemoglobin dissociation curve. Now listen to me. First of all, this curve is, what are we discussing? Oxyhemoglobin dissociation curve. So bache, this curve is, first point, it is S shape. It is sigmoid, right? It is sigmoid shaped curve. Right? It is sigmoid shaped curve. What is it? It's a sigmoid shaped curve. So actually it's a graph which is plotted in between oxygen concentration and percentage saturation of hemoglobin. What is it? It's a graph right? It's a graph plotted in oxygen, plotted in between oxygen concentration and percentage saturation of hemoglobin, right? Percentage saturation of hemoglobin. Let me explain it to you. Now let me explain it to you. So basically, you know that for the formation of hemoglobin, the partial pressure of oxygen is required. Yes or no? Yes or no? For the formation of oxyhemoglobin, the partial pressure of oxygen is required. If the partial pressure of oxygen is high, then the oxyhemoglobin will form. What is that oxyhemoglobin? It is basically the oxygenation of hemoglobin, right? Which is temporary and reversible. It can break also. Just hemoglobin is like, if partial pressure of oxygen will be like, I am on oxygen side. If it is low, I will leave oxygen. It's like that. Okay? It's like that. So now we have a graph. That graph is basically in between the oxygen concentration and percentage saturation of the hemoglobin, right? Percentage saturation of the hemoglobin. This is basically the dissociation curve. So x-axis, this is the x-axis. It will tell us about the partial pressure of oxygen in mmHg. Okay? And that is your y-axis. Even this is what you need to know. This is your y-axis. So y-axis will tell us about the percentage saturation of hemoglobin, that how many hemoglobin molecules are, right, saturated with oxygen. So obviously when partial pressure of oxygen will increase, the hemoglobin that is saturated with oxygen, they will also increase. Just say for an example, let's say you have 100, just imagine you have 100 hemoglobin molecules. If out of that 100, if 50 hemoglobin molecules, they are having the oxygen, they are oxygenated. So can I say that 50% of the hemoglobin is saturated? Again I'm repeating, listen to me. Let's say you have 200 hemoglobin molecules. Out of 200 hemoglobin molecules, 100 hemoglobin molecules are saturated with oxygen. They are attached with that oxygen. So can I say that 50% of the hemoglobin is saturated? Can I say that 50% of the hemoglobin is saturated? Of course I can. So this curve, right, this dissociation curve is providing us, it is basically a graphical representation of partial pressure of oxygen and the percentage saturation. So let me tell you, when the partial pressure of oxygen is near about 25 mmHg, okay, again this is the data, when it is near about 25 mm of Hg, so it is believed that 50% of the hemoglobin is saturated, right? 50% of the hemoglobin is saturated. Understood? Understood? Clear? Understood? So now when you talk about this curve, you talk about two shifts. Okay? You are going to talk about two shifts. One is your left shift and another is your right shift. This is the point from where the question is going to come. One is your left shift, another is your right shift. One is your left shift, another is your right shift. Okay? Left shift, right shift. So for this left shift and right shift, we have another trick. That trick is that trick is lard. Okay? How many shifts do we have? We have two shifts. One is the left shift, another is the right shift, and for that shift we have a trick. That trick is lard. The trick is lard. L stands for left, A stands for association, R stands for right, D stands for dissociation. That is the trick. Okay? That is the trick. L means left. So it is not Lord. Lord is for the heart. It is lard. L-A-R-D. L-A-R-D. Okay? So left association, right dissociation. Left association, right dissociation. It's very simple. If the shift is, if that oxygen hemoglobin dissociation curve, if it is moving towards the left side, then there is the association. And what is that association? Basically, association of hemoglobin with oxygen. It is the association of hemoglobin with oxygen. So this association is telling us about the formation of oxyhemoglobin. This association is telling us about the formation of oxyhemoglobin. And when it is the right shift, means dissociation. Means dissociation. Okay, what is it? It is dissociation. So dissociation will occur, right? Dissociation means to dissociate, to get separated, means breakup. Breakup of hemoglobin with oxygen. Yes or no? It is the breakup of hemoglobin with oxygen, right? Breakup of hemoglobin with oxygen. It is the dissociation. Breakup. So B for breakup, B for Bohr's effect. B for breakup, B for Bohr's effect. Am I right? B for breakup, B for Bohr's effect. So if the oxyhemoglobin dissociation curve, if it is moving towards the left side, then it is the association. If it is moving towards the right side, it is the dissociation, that is breakup. B for breakup, B for Bohr's effect. Right? B for breakup, B for Bohr's effect. Done? Sure? Right? Dissociation means breakup. So it is the breakup of hemoglobin and oxygen. They will get separated. So it is very simple. Dekho, it is very simple. It's a simple rule. Dekho, if hemoglobin will stay with oxygen, hemoglobin will not go to anyone else. Hemoglobin will be like my true love is my oxygen will be like my true love is hemoglobin. I am associated with the hemoglobin. I am not going to go anywhere. I have to stay with the hemoglobin only. But if there will be a breakup, there is a chance of another person. Yes or no? Yes or no? This is the trend these days. If there will be a breakup, then obviously there is a chance of someone else. So if hemoglobin and oxygen, if they will have that, if they will break up, what will happen? The oxygen will go to someone else. Oxygen will go to someone else, and that is what we need. That is what we want. We want this oxygen to go to someone else. And who's that someone else? That someone else is our cells, right? They are our cells. The cells are waiting for oxygen. Oxygen, please come. Right? If you will not come, then how will we oxidize our glucose? How are we going to get the energy? So please, oxygen, come to us and help us to get the energy. So this breakup is important. This breakup is very important, because this breakup will transport the oxygen. So whenever you will get a question in the paper that which effect is responsible for the transport of oxygen, that will be the Bohr's effect. B for Bohr, B for breakup of oxygen and hemoglobin. Oxyhemoglobin will dissociate. So hemoglobin separate, oxygen separate. I'll tell you the reasons for that breakup also. Now left side means association, means patch up. Okay, left side means association, means patch up. So you know the conditions for patch up. There should be high partial pressure of oxygen, there should be low partial pressure of CO2, there should be high pH, bache, right? So it means there should be low H positive ions, right? And there should be low temperature. So if there is a breakup, so obviously we have to reverse the conditions. We have to reverse the condition. There should be low partial pressure of oxygen, there should be high partial pressure of CO2. Now hemoglobin is attracted towards CO2. Hemoglobin is like, my God, CO2 is more. I should bind with the CO2. I should leave the oxygen. So obviously there will be high H positive ion concentration. I will tell you why that H positive ion concentration is more. I will tell you. So there should be high H positive ion concentration, means the pH will be low, right? And the temperature here will be high. You know now, when there is the metabolism, the temperature is high. So that's the condition for the shifts. Okay, that are the conditions for the shifts. Okay, so let's check it out from this particular graph. So right shift is telling us decreased affinity for oxygen, right? Dissociation, breakup. So high CO2, high H positive, high 2,3 diphosphoglycerate. It is basically in glycolysis. So if you can remember it directly, you please do it, right? Otherwise there is no, you can even miss it because it is not in NCERT, but if you can remember, that will be good. So high temperature, and these are the conditions for the left shift. So any doubt? Right shift, left shift, clear? Right shift, left shift, clear? So ultimately the oxyhemoglobin formation is important so that oxygen can be carried towards the tissue, and then at the tissue level there should be a breakup. Where will that right shift occur? Where that right shift occur? Where will that Bohr's effect occur? Obviously in the tissues. Why? Because in the tissues the partial pressure of CO2 is high and the partial pressure of oxygen is low. It's simple, it's obvious. So if you understand the concept, then you can answer the questions on the basis of it. Okay? Now let's move to the left shift. Where will that left shift occur where the partial pressure of oxygen is high? So obviously in the lungs. In the lungs, this is something we are going to see. In the lungs, the oxyhemoglobin will form, and it is actually the Haldane effect. It is actually the Haldane effect. I know it is not given in NCERT, but it is important. Okay? It is important, right? So this is about the shifts. Now let's move towards the transport of CO2. So see, in the NCERT it is given every 100 ml of oxygenated blood can deliver around 5 ml of oxygen to the tissue under normal physiological conditions. So I have explained you the reason as well. Understood? Chalo. So now let's move to the last important topic of this particular chapter, that is the transport of gases. Okay? That is the transport of CO2. So when it comes to the carbon dioxide, right? So it will be transported in the dissolved form, right? It will be transported in the form of focus on this word, it is carbaminohemoglobin. It is not carboxyhemoglobin. Please remember this. When carbon monoxide joins with the hemoglobin, then it is carboxyhemoglobin, right? It's a very common mistake. Then it is carboxyhemoglobin. But when your CO2 joins with the hemoglobin, then it is the carbaminohemoglobin. Clear, bache? Right? Then it is the carbaminohemoglobin. Clear? Clear? Clear, clear, clear? Okay, so CO2 is carried by hemoglobin as carbaminohemoglobin, but it is only 20 to 25%. Okay, right? And it is also related to the partial pressure. Of course, if hemoglobin is binding with any of the gas, it is related to the partial pressure. Okay, bache? Now see what you need to remember. This is a very famous question. This is a very famous question. Right, so 20 to 25% of the CO2 is transported by RBCs, obviously by the formation of carbaminohemoglobin. Okay, by the formation of carbaminohemoglobin, right? 70% will be carried, means majority of CO2 will be carried in the form of bicarbonate ions, that is HCO3 negative, and about 7% will be carried in the dissolved state through plasma. So 3% of the oxygen will be carried as the dissolved state in plasma, and 7% of the CO2 will be carried. So this part is very important. Okay, this part is very important. Now come to the transport of CO2. Okay, come to the transport of CO2. It's literally very simple. Okay, it's literally very simple. Dekho, if partial pressure of oxygen is the major factor which could affect this binding of what? Carbon dioxide with the hemoglobin. So when partial pressure of CO2 is high and partial pressure of oxygen is low, obviously this condition is in the tissues. More binding of CO2 will occur, whereas CO2 pressure is low and PO2 is high in the alveoli, then dissociation will occur. This is something that we have already covered. Now what you need to remember, see, you know that when you talk about the Blood is having two components. It is having the plasma, it is having the formed elements. So as of now we need our RBC, right? And we need to talk about one enzyme. That enzyme is your carbonic anhydrase, right? That enzyme is your carbonic anhydrase. Let me tell you students, it is the fastest enzyme known. Okay, it can increase the rate of the reaction by many folds, by million of times. Imagine, by million of times it can increase the rate of the reaction. So carbonic anhydrase, it is the fastest enzyme. So carbonic anhydrase, it is present in RBC, and very less amount of it, very less amount of it is in plasma. You cannot say that in plasma it is totally absent. It is present, but yeah, amount is negligible. Okay, it is present but the amount is negligible. Okay, but it is present in RBC. It is present in RBC. Now see, this is our Mr. RBC. You will understand everything, why that H positive concentration will be high when the CO2 partial pressure is high. You will understand everything. This is your RBC. Now your carbon dioxide will join with water and in the presence of carbonic anhydrase. Okay, in the presence of carbonic anhydrase. For carbonic anhydrase, let's use the short form Ca. Okay, let's use the short form Ca. So it will result in the formation of H2CO3, which is a weak acid. It is the carbonic acid. It is the carbonic acid. Then that carbonic acid, it dissociates. Okay, it dissociates into HCO3 negative and H positive. I hope now you people can understand. I hope you people can understand now that the carbonic acid will form, which will dissociate in the form of carbonic acid and H positive, right? When these conditions are going to take place, when the partial pressure of CO2 is high. Now you got it. Why when there is a high partial pressure of CO2, it results in the high H positive concentration? Tell me. Now you got it? Yes or no? Yes or no? Now you got it. Why when there is the high partial pressure of CO2, it results in the high H positive concentration? Because bache, right, the carbonic acid will form. That carbonic acid will again dissociates, right? It will form bicarbonate and it will form H positive, right? It will form H positive. Now you know what that H positive will do. It will combine with hemoglobin, right? Now you know that the only 20 to 25% of the hemoglobin will join with the carbon dioxide. Now here already you know that oxyhemoglobin is present. Oxyhemoglobin is present. Now this H positive will be like, chalo, I want to combine with the hemoglobin, right? And it will result in the formation of, right, hemoglobinic acid. It will result in the formation of hemoglobinic acid. And do you know why? Because this hemoglobinic acid, it acts like a buffer. You know na, blood, right? All the changes are taking place in blood, but still blood is having a fixed pH. Why? Because of the buffer. Buffer is going to maintain that pH. Okay, bache? So oxygen. So what is going to happen? The hydrogen ions will combine with hemoglobin. They will form hemoglobinic acid, which is going to act like a buffer. Okay, which is going to act like a buffer. Now, what is the fate of this bicarbonate? Now you know that. See, this is the plasma in the surrounding. This is the plasma in the surrounding. Now this HCO3 negative will be like, I want to go out. I want to diffuse out. Okay, right? I want to go out. I want to diffuse out. I cannot stay in this RBC, right? I want to go out. That bicarbonate will start crying. Okay, fine, we can send it outside. There is no problem at all. We can send it outside. But the problem is, if we will send this bicarbonate to the plasma, it can result in the disturbance in the ionic balance. So what is going to happen? Bicarbonate will diffuse out, and in response to that, chloride from the plasma will come within the RBC. Right? Chloride from the plasma will come within the RBC. So this part is basically your chloride shift. It is not given in NCERT, but most of the time question come from this part. It is also known as hamburger phenomena. It is also known as hamburger phenomena. What is it? It is also known as hamburger phenomena. So it is to maintain the ionic balance. So the question can come like this. They can ask you that the HCO3 negative will move from plasma to RBC or from RBC to plasma. It will move from RBC to plasma. Chloride ion will move from plasma to RBC. So such questions can come. Such questions can come. So this thing is going to balance the ionic, this thing is going to balance that ionic disturbance, and that is how in the form of bicarbonates the CO2 will be transported. Any doubt? The CO2 will be transported. Any doubt? Any doubt? Sure? Sure? Yes, everyone. Is it clear? Sure? Done? Done. So that is how it will be transported. So this is going to take place in the tissue. Now, this deoxygenated blood. Okay. Now your 20 to 25% of carbon dioxide, again due to the partial pressure of carbon dioxide, will directly react with, it will directly react with hemoglobin. It is going to directly react with hemoglobin, and you will get carbaminohemoglobin. What are you going to get? Carbaminohemoglobin. Okay? So that is how the deoxygenated blood will form. Now this deoxygenated blood, it will be carried to the lungs. Obviously it will be carried to the lungs, and in the lungs we know that partial pressure of oxygen is high, partial pressure of CO2 is low. Okay? In the deoxygenated blood, that is also the scenario, no doubt bicarbonate ions will form, and even the carbaminohemoglobin is also there. Even the carbaminohemoglobin is also there. है ना Samiksha? So basically when deoxygenated blood will be carried to the lungs. So in the lungs, what is going to happen? In the lungs, you know that in the alveoli partial pressure of oxygen is high. So here बच्चे Haldane effect will occur. Which effect will occur? Haldane effect will occur. Obviously when partial pressure of oxygen is high, first of all in the deoxygenated blood you have that hemoglobinic acid, yes or no? You have that hemoglobinic acid, yes or no? It will also break. H positive will go separately and hemoglobin will get separated. Okay, that is going to happen. Yes, that is going to happen. So basically here, because there is the high partial pressure of oxygen, so it will bind with the hemoglobin. It will result in the formation of oxyhemoglobin. Matlab it is basically the zone of oxygen here. Now oxygen is like in the lungs. Ki hemoglobin, you left me now you cannot leave me, right? So hemoglobin, oxygen will be like, my partial pressure is high, I will join with you hemoglobin. So once this oxygen will join with the hemoglobin, right, it will form oxyhemoglobin, and that oxyhemoglobin is a stronger acid than hemoglobin. Okay, it is the stronger one than hemoglobin. Okay, and moreover here, because there is high partial pressure of oxygen, even the hemoglobinic acid will also break. Okay, even the hemoglobinic acid will also break. Okay, and moreover, let's leave the hemoglobinic acid. It's very simple. If here the partial pressure of CO2 is high, obviously oxyhemoglobin will form, and now the carbaminohemoglobin, you are also having the carbaminohemoglobin now. Carbaminohemoglobin, what will happen to that carbaminohemoglobin? It will release CO2, Hb will be free, it is going to bind with the oxygen. Right, this is the one case that you have to understand. So what is happening in the alveoli? Due to the high partial pressure of oxygen, right, carbaminohemoglobin will leave. Now the CO2 will leave the hemoglobin, and this hemoglobin is going to bind with the oxygen. This is the one scenario. And the reaction that you have studied in the tissue now, this reaction will be reversed in the lungs. Let me show you how. See this. It is happening in the tissue. CO2 is coming, joining with water. Carbonic anhydrase will form H2CO3. Bicarbonates will dissociate, chloride will enter, chloride shift. This hemoglobin is joining with the this H positive is joining with hemoglobin. It is forming it is forming hemoglobinic acid. Okay? Even because here the partial pressure of CO2 is high, even the oxyhemoglobin is dissociating, oxygen is free, it will move to the tissue and hemoglobin is joining here. This part is already clear. Now, that's the another diagram. In the alveoli, what is happening? All that reactions will be reversed. Now, in the alveoli, your bicarbonate ion is going to join with the hydrogen. Do you know that? It will again join with the hydrogen. What is going to happen in RBC, in the alveoli? Because here the partial pressure of oxygen is high and the partial pressure of CO2 is low. So this bicarbonate, now it will enter from plasma to RBC. It was in the tissue, it diffused out from RBC to plasma, but here it will be reversed. Now the bicarbonate ion from the plasma will enter here in the RBC. It is happening in alveoli. It will join with H positive. It will form carbonic acid. Again carbonic anhydrase will dissociate. It will form CO2 and water because it is a reversed reaction. So CO2 will enter here in the alveoli. It will leave. Right? It will leave. So this is the Haldane effect. It is telling us the transport of carbon dioxide. The H positive released here will again, hemoglobin will join with this H positive, will form hemoglobinic acid that will act like a buffer. So this is how it works. So the opposite reactions will be there in the alveoli. Right? Opposite reactions will be there in the alveoli. Clear, bache? Clear? Sure? Are you sure? So high partial pressure of oxygen will result in the oxygenation of hemoglobin. So this is what you need to know. So still if there is any doubt, you can ask it. So that is what you need to remember. Okay? That is what you need to remember. Okay? So 4 ml, only 4 ml of CO2 is delivered to the alveoli by every 100 ml of deoxygenated blood, right? So oxygenated blood will transport 5 ml of oxygen, deoxygenated blood will transport only 4 ml of CO2. Clear? It will transport only 4 ml of CO2. So that is something that you need to remember. Only one topic is left now, the regulation of the respiration. So here you can see, right, we can maintain our respiratory rhythm, है ना? जैसे when you do some exercise, you know that your rate of respiration increase. Why? Because our body is demanding more and more oxygen. So we can maintain it. How is it possible to maintain it? With the help of your neural system, right? So we have a respiratory center in the medulla region of the brain. It is the respiratory rhythm center. So that is also an important question. Okay, so respiratory rhythm center is present in the medulla, right, bache? It is mainly responsible for this regulation. There is one more center which is present in pons varolii. You know na, hind brain. Do you know hind brain? Hind brain is having 3 parts: physics, chemistry, maths. Right? Pons varolii, cerebellum, medulla oblongata. Hind brain is having 3 parts: physics, chemistry, maths. Pons varolii, cerebellum, and medulla oblongata. So medulla oblongata is the respiratory rhythm center. It will regulate that respiration. Pons varolii is going to limit the respiration. Let's say your mother is liberal and mother is like, okay, my baby is asking for 100 rupees, I'll give 150. But here pons varolii is just like, papa, no mother, you have to give 100 rupees only. It's like that. Okay, it's like that. Take care. So another center which is present in the pons region of the brain is the pneumotoxic center. It moderates the function of respiratory rhythm center. So question can be like, where your respiratory rhythm center is present? Medulla oblongata. Where is your moderator of respiratory rhythm center? Yeah, who's going to moderate the function of respiratory rhythm center? It is your pneumotoxic center present in the pons region. Clear? Present in the pons region. So neural signal from this center can reduce the duration of inspiration and alter the respiratory rate, right? So other than that, there is a chemosensitive area which is just adjacent to the rhythm center, and it is very sensitive to CO2 concentration and to the hydrogen ion concentration. So as I already said, if there is increase in the CO2 concentration in arterial blood is the keyword. arteries, the blood in the arteries, the oxygenated blood, if their CO2 level will rise, if their hydrogen level will rise, then it will send a signal to the brain that now it's the time for inspiration. So it's not the oxygen that is going to start it, it is the carbon dioxide. Clear bache? Clear, clear, clear. So increase in the substances like CO2 and H positive, it activate these centers and they will signal the rhythm center to make necessary adjustments, right? And there are some receptors also which are associated with aortic arch and the carotid artery. So you know na, carotid artery, the one which is carrying the oxygenated blood to the brain. So they have the receptor, they can also recognize such same changes, they will also send the signal to the respiratory rhythm center. So this is all about the regulation of respiration. Clear? This is all about the regulation of respiration. Clear bache? Then disorders, asthma, difficulty in breathing, right? The wheezing sound. This is sometimes when we are having the cold, our nose, it produces some sounds now, and in asthma, you know, some wheezing sounds will be there, kind of, not properly like whistling, but kind of that sound. Okay, bache, carotid artery is the one that will carry the oxygenated blood to the brain. Okay, so asthma is difficulty in breathing causing wheezing due to inflammation of bronchi and bronchiole. So the MCQ can be like this: asthma is what? Difficulty in breathing, but why is it occurring? Because there is an inflammation where? Bronchi and bronchiole. So emphysema, it is because of the chain smoker. Chain smokers are going to get it. It is because of the cigarette smoking. Okay, so emphysema is a very chronic disorder. Bache, alveolar walls will be damaged here, right? Because respiratory surface will be decreased. So alveoli walls are damaged. Their elasticity will also be reduced, right? So it is mainly due to the cigarette smoking. And alpha-1 antitrypsin is used to treat, right? It is used to treat emphysema. Alpha-1 antitrypsin. Okay, because trypsin, you know na, protein digesting enzyme. So it is antitrypsin which is required here. It can treat emphysema. That's what you have to remember. So then is occupational respiratory disorder which are related to the occupation, just the people that work in the coal mining industry, right? In the industry where there is the stone breaking or grinding, they will inhale that pollutants that can cause the respiratory problems. Just see, grinding or stone breaking, so much dust is produced that the defense mechanism of the body cannot fully cope up with the situation. So long exposure can give to the rise to the inflammation, leading to proliferation of fibrous tissue. So that fibrous tissue will be more and more. So lung damage will be there, like silicosis, asbestosis. That's it, that's all. So this is all about the chapter. Bache, as we have promised, we have provided you that thing now, one day one chapter, and we didn't miss anything here. Okay, we didn't miss anything here. We have covered everything from the NCERT. So you people should revise hypoxia. You people should also revise altitude sickness. That what is that altitude sickness? Do you know about altitude sickness? Just when we go to the heights, there is difficulty in breathing. Why? Just even if you have seen the people from the people that are living in the mountain regions, they are having very red colored cheeks. Why? Because they have more RBC production. Why? Because where they are living now, the partial pressure of oxygen is low. So in that case, there is more oxygen production, so that more RBC production, so that it can bind with the oxygen, even if its partial pressure is low. That is one way. Okay, so read about it. So we have covered this chapter. So after it, the next chapter that we are going to start is body fluid and circulation. Right, that is the next chapter that we are going to start. So soon you will subscribe to my profile on Unacademy, on the Unacademy platform. Right, I'll schedule one, special class where in 30 minutes we will complete the most important questions of this particular chapter. And moreover, on 8th of March, there is the top 500 MCQ practice sessions are also there. So be the part of these classes, students, and I'll share the Telegram. I'll share the PDF link in the Telegram, and subscribe to our channel, okay, so that you will get all the important updates. So if you are looking for the biology plan, you can see this video, right? This plan is amazing. Okay, this plan is amazing. You should definitely check it and make sure you have read all these top 100 concepts of biology. Understood? Understood. So stay tuned. In the comment section, do let me know whatever difficulties you are facing. I'll try to make videos on that. And if you want to be the part of Dream Crash Course batch, there is a link in the description box. Click on that link, be the part of that batch where we are revising your syllabus, where we are covering all the important topics, right? So do watch this video, it will clear all your concepts. Understood? Understood. So the next chapter that we are going to start is, yes, it is body fluid and circulation. Okay, so thank you so much for watching, right? So in the comment section, do let me know that you like the session or not. I will wait for your comments. Thank you. Stay tuned.